What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 7SS Chapter 146 The Best Proof of the Achievements of Human Body Enlargement. Yong how, oh, is it the pirate supernova? I heard that the Don Quixote family did recruit a good cadre. What's going on? Isn't his nickname the Fierce Ape? How come he became Caesar Current's assistant? He can also do science. Hearing Yong hao's self-introduction, Baron Eggman and Poke Moose were a little surprised. They still know about Yong hao, the pirate supernova. In fact, not only did they know that Yong hao had joined Don Quixote, they also knew that he had to join Don Quixote because he was being hunted by Marine. This is naturally due to the powerful intelligence capabilities of their Big Mom pirates. Because of their friendship with the Morgans, they have a lot of inside information about the pirate world. But they didn't know that Yong hao also had scientific power. In fact, even Monet was a little surprised. All because she knew that Yong hao was not Caesar Current's assistant. To be more precise, Yong hao can be regarded as Caesar Current's research partner. In many cases, Yong hao still takes the lead. But why did he suddenly lower himself and say that he was Caesar Current's assistant? And this is naturally a way for Yong hao to gain the trust of Katakuri and others. After all, given his age, if he really said that he was Caesar Current's research partner, his credibility would be too low. As for the assistant, it is very suitable. This is also a foreshadowing for Yong hao to deal with Katakuri and others in the future. Katakuri stared at Yong hao silently and said nothing. I don't know if he didn't care about this statement, or if he had already predicted Yong hao's introduction. He turned around and took a look and asked, "Where is Dr. Caesar Current? We are here specifically for him this time." When Yong hao heard this, he immediately explained with a smile, "That's it. It's a coincidence that you were here. Dr. Caesar Current happens to be doing a very important research and is temporarily unable to spare the time to receive you. However, he handed over this task to I. No matter what you want to eat or if you have any questions, I can solve it for you." Hearing this, Baron Eggman and Pokmusk were even more surprised. Katakuri also had to take a serious look at the young man in front of him. This pirate supernova seems to be not simple, of course, those who can become a pirate supernova will not be simple. However, Katakuri could vaguely sense that the man in front of him seemed to be more special than the average pirate supernova. After all, ordinary pirate supernovas would be scared to death when they see pirates like them who have been famous for a long time. But the other party was talking eloquently in front of him, and even showed a confident look. Katakuri suddenly became interested and stared at Yong hao's eyes. A red light flashed suddenly. Bang! At this moment, red thunder flashed, and a powerful momentum swept through Katakuri's body, like a hurricane. Baron Eggman and Pokemus suddenly changed their expressions and kept retreating. Monet and Baby -5 also changed their expressions in an instant. As they retreated, cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. At this moment, Katakuri in front of them seemed to have transformed into an ancient ferocious beast, which made people feel horrified and uneasy. Even my head felt slightly dizzy. Conqueror's dominance. Immediately afterwards, Monet seemed to have thought of something, widened his beautiful eyes, and screamed in surprise. Baby -5 covered her mouth. Is this the same power as the young master? Baron Eggman and Pokemus were also shocked, but the reason why they were shocked was not because Katakuri possessed Conqueror's haki. They already knew this. What shocked them was that at this time, Yong hao stood motionless in front of Katakuri, with a calm expression on his face, as if he had no feeling at all about the terrifying aura. Seeing this scene, Katakuri also had a flash of surprise in his eyes. He originally wanted to use Conqueror's haki to punish Yong hao a little. Of course, he doesn't expect his Conqueror's haki to be able to stun a pirate supernova, but he should still be able to shock the opponent. But now, Yong hao looks completely indifferent. This situation undoubtedly shows that the man in front of him is very strong in both spirit and courage. Upon thinking of this, Katakuri immediately put away his contempt. And Yong hao always had a smile on his face. When dealing with Doflamingo's Conqueror's haki before, he also needed to use mind enhancement. But as his strength continues to increase, he naturally doesn't need to be like this anymore. Now, even without brain enhancement, he can easily resist Conqueror's haki. Even in the future, he may not be able to awaken this power. At this time, Katakuri put away his contempt and spoke for the first time. I see, I am Katakuri. You should know me. You should also know the purpose of my coming here. The human body is huge. Can you show us the results of the chemical experiment? Yong hao seemed to have no idea about the situation where Conqueror's domineering power surged just now, and responded without changing his expression, of course. Saying this, he turned around and looked around, and said, "But it's not very convenient here, so let's go outside." Hearing this, Katakuri narrowed his eyes slightly. For a moment, he didn't understand what Yong hao meant. Why go outside to show the results of experiments on human jaundicization? Shouldn't it be in the research institute? Also confused was Caesar Current. Although he is hiding, it doesn't mean that he doesn't care at all. In fact, Caesar Current still monitors the scene. Ever since, when he saw Katakuri coming, he couldn't help but tremble. When he saw the opponent displaying Conqueror's domineering force, he couldn't help but show fear. What Caesar Current didn't expect was that Yong Hao was so calm and composed. Facing the Conqueror's domineering force, not only did he not retreat, his expression did not change. But why is he taking Katakuri out now? Regarding the results of human gigantism experiments, shouldn't Katakuri be taken to see the giant medicine, or the children who were used in the gigantism experiments? Thinking this way, Caesar Current couldn't help but be surprised. Although Katakuri and others were a little confused, they still followed Yong Hao to the outside of the research institute. After taking a look at the empty surroundings, Yong Hao had a smile on his face. Okay, this is a good fit. After the words fell, Yong Hao transformed directly. Yong Hao, with his upper body naked, suddenly turned into a 3-meter-tall golden-haired ape. A fierce aura swept across, and everyone's expressions changed slightly. Everyone immediately recognized that this was the transformation of Yong Hao's animal fruit ability. Including Caesar Coolant, who followed him secretly. But what does Yong Hao do with this transformation? When everyone was confused, a shocking scene appeared. The 3-meter-tall ape swelled again. In the blink of an eye, a giant ape that was 15 meters tall and towering like the sky appeared on the spot. The ferocious aura increased countless times, and everyone was stunned when they saw it. Only Yong Hao lowered his head and smiled. This is the best proof of the results of human body enlargement. Chapter 147 The Giant Fist Hits the Lion and Turtle. What's this? It's so huge. Everyone was shocked when they saw Yong Hao transformed into a 15-meter-long King Kong giant ape. That fierce aura made even BABY5, who had already seen it, feel suffocated. But the most shocked ones were Katakuri and others. Especially Poke Moose. He is also a person with animal fruit abilities. But how could an ordinary person with animal fruit abilities perform such an amazing transformation? The leader Katakuri's face became extremely solemn. Yong Hao's amazing transformation is even more amazing than the ancient species. This reminded him of Kaido's blue dragon ability. That was also the only transformation ability that amazed him so far. But Kaido's ability is that of a fantasy beast. Could it be that Yong Hao's ability is not the ordinary animal fruit ability they know, but a legendary phantom beast species like Kaido? At the same time, many people had the same guess as Katakuri. Among them, Pokemus asked without hesitation, Yong Hao, could it be that your abilities are those of a fantasy beast species? As he said this, the small eyes under Pokemus's sunglasses stared at Yong Hao. The others also raised their heads and stared at Yong Hao, waiting for his answer. The same goes for Monet. She feels that she might be able to find out some details about Yong Hao today. But the answer Yong Hao gave next shocked everyone. I saw the giant ape speaking human words. I am not that extremely rare species of phantom beast, I just have ordinary animal-type fruit abilities. The reason why it became so big is because of experiments on human body enlargement. At the end, Yong Hao explained with a smile. Just hearing this, everyone was even more shocked. What, it's not a fantasy beast species, human body enlargement experiment. Katakuri was shocked, but the most surprising thing is Caesar Current not far away. Hearing Yong Hao's words, his mouth opened wide in disbelief. The gigantic animal transformation that Yong Hao is showing now is because of the human gigantism experiment. How is that possible? How come he doesn't know? Seeing everyone's shocked and surprised expressions, Yong Hao smiled secretly. Then he continued to explain, to be honest, the reason why I became Dr. Caesar Current's assistant is not because I also have superb scientific ability, but because I became one of the giant human experimental subjects. What? Are you an experimental subject? Katakuri and the others were stunned again. Even Monet was stunned for a while. Of course Caesar Current was also confused, but he gradually began to examine Yong Hao's appearance at this time. If Yong Hao's current form is not due to the animal fruit ability, but because he took the giant medicine, doesn't this prove that his giant medicine is effective? Such an astonishing existence is enough to confirm their research results. Thinking of this, Caesar Current's eyes lit up, and Yong Hao's eyes smiled even more. Yes, this is the result he showed Katakuri. He strengthened the monster's form and regarded it as the result of the human body's enlargement experiment. This is not accurate, but if you really want to talk about it, it's not wrong. It's all because Yong Hao keeps taking the giant medicine, which is really effective. Just like the monster's strengthened form at this moment. This time, Yong Hao did not eat the blue wave ball, but simply used his own ability to transform. You know, Yong Hao's ability has not made much progress. This is entirely due to the giant medicine. So Yong Hao is not wrong when he said that monster enhancement is the result of human body enlargement experiments. The only pity is that his current self-transformation into a monster-enhanced form is still not sustainable and can only last for a few minutes. But even if it only took a few minutes, it was enough for Yong Hao to convince Katakuri and others. Yes, I am the experimental subject. I have been taking the giant medicine developed by Dr. Caesar Current. It originally only had the effect of increasing strength, but one day, it seemed that mass production caused a qualitative change. Naturally, I was able to transform into this form. If you know about animal fruit abilities, you should know how strange my form is. Ordinary people with animal fruit abilities cannot become so big. In fact, even ancient species and even phantom beast species are rare. Hearing this, Pokmus nodded with deep understanding. Needless to say, ordinary animal fruit abilities, ancient species, are actually nothing, just those ancient species. For example, dinosaurs, saber-toothed tigers, etc. With this kind of ability, the size after transformation may be larger than that of ordinary animals, but it is also very limited. As for the fantasy beast species, there are indeed existences like Kaido who can transform into a 1,000-meter dragon, but they are also very rare. Most of them are not that big, such as Marco, Kurozumi and others. In fact, it is very simple to tell whether Yong Hao is a phantom beast, that is to observe his characteristics. All species of fantasy beasts have special abilities. But apart from the unusually huge size, Yong Hao's transformation at this time was really ordinary in other aspects. It can be seen that Yong Hao's words are very credible. In fact, not to mention Pokmus, even Katakuri didn't see any problem. So, Yong Hao's current form is really the result of human body enlargement experiments. After pondering for a moment, Katakuri asked, "According to your statement, after taking too much of that giant medicine, you will be able to have great strength and even the ability to grow bigger." Hearing this, Yong Hao shook his head. "I'm not sure yet. Is this ability to grow bigger because of the giant medicine, or is it related to me as an animal fruit ability user? So we need more funds. In the future, we plan to change the experimental subjects to the fur race. The physique of this race is similar to those with animal fruit abilities. It should be of great help to experiments on human jaundicization. But you also know that slaves of this race are difficult to obtain, and even if they are available, the price is astonishing." Yong Hao explained the reason for asking for money very cleverly. That's right, the human body enlargement experiment is continuing, and this time, the experimental subjects are replaced by rare fur races. So money is needed, more money. Just when he heard this, Pokmus's face suddenly darkened. "What did you say? A-hole, if you dare to attack the fur tribe, I can't get around you." Pokmus suddenly became excited. There is no way, because he is a fur tribe. And for his own race, Pokmus is also very protective. When Yong Hao heard this, he pretended to be suddenly enlightened and looked at Pokmus. "Ah, I'm sorry, it turns out you were also a fur tribe, but I wonder if you would mind letting us study it?" "What?" Hearing this, Pokmus's eyes burst into flames. Just now Yong Hao said that he could barely suppress his anger, but now he exploded. Pokmus suddenly avoided Baron Eggman's obstruction and flew towards Yong Hao. "A-hole, now I'll let you know that trouble comes from your mouth." With an angry shout, Pokmus's fist showed a domineering and armed look, and he punched Yong Hao's chest brazenly. There was a bang. A seemingly powerful blow landed on Yong Hao's chest, but there was no movement. The giant ape's body remained motionless. Pokmus's expression suddenly changed. Before he could react, a giant fist like a water tank fell from the sky. Pokmus was shocked and quickly moved his arm domineering energy to his back, revealing his turtle back. He is a user with turtle fruit ability. The turtle's back's defense is comparable to that of a diamond, and coupled with its domineering aura, it is no exaggeration to say that it is indestructible. Although Yong Hao was not injured, Pokmus was super confident in his own defense. But just when Pokmus was thinking this, boom! Like thunder, Yong Hao punched down. Pokmus fell to the ground suddenly as if struck by thunder. With a bang, an astonishingly large pit suddenly appeared on the ground. In the pit, Pokmus collapsed on the ground, his sunglasses were broken, and his exposed small eyes were full of dizziness. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned again. Pokmus was stunned by a punch from Yong Hao, who transformed into a giant ape. Chapter 148 Battle Card 2, Head On. Boom! Like thunder exploding, everyone present was shocked. When he came back to his senses, Pokmus had collapsed in the pit on the ground. Everyone was stunned. Pokmus is a pirate with a bounty of 330 million. Yong Hao, who had a bounty of 100 million, was killed instantly. Pokemoose! Baron Eggy screamed and rushed over. Then he looked at his partner dumbfounded. The sturdy tortoise shell was safe and sound, but Pokmus definitely fainted. What's going on? At this time, Yong Hao looked at the unconscious Pokmus, but there was no look of surprise on his face. The turtle shell of Pokmus is very hard, and with its armored color, it is even more indestructible. But so what? Just because a turtle's shell is hard doesn't mean its body is also hard. It's like a person's external defense is strong, but his internal organs are fragile. Yong Hao's punch just now was so terrifying that although it couldn't break the turtle's shell, it still penetrated into Pokmus's body and injured him. Coupled with the huge impact caused by hitting the ground, it is not surprising that Pokmus was knocked unconscious by one punch. Yong Hao's punch not only knocked out Pokmus, but also shocked everyone. This terrifying power may be due to the ability of the animal fruit, but it is obviously also due to its enlargement. Caesar Current's eyes lit up again, so strong. Kakuri-sama, is this guy a combatant of the Big Mom Pirates? He seems a little ignorant of the rules. Why don't you let him stay and let me train him, and do some research on the way? At this time, Yong Hao turned to Katakuri and asked. Baron Eggman's expression suddenly changed. Katakuri waved his hand and stopped Baron Eggman. He looked at Yong Hao and suddenly asked, "You shouldn't be able to maintain this form for too long, right?" Yong Hao raised his eyebrows and admitted immediately, "Yes, it can only last for a few minutes, but I believe you should have seen the effect of the human body becoming gigantic." Hearing this, Katakuri nodded. At this time, Yong Hao, no matter in appearance or strength, naturally meets the ant's expectations for a huge human body. In this way, Yong Hao's proof has actually been recognized by Katakuri. But before he agreed, Katakuri suddenly became interested. He could see that the punch that knocked out Pokomu just now was probably not Yong Hao's limit at this time. In this case, maybe he can try Yong Hao's power at this time again. Thinking of this, Katakuri added, "I have indeed seen the effect, but I have to verify it myself. Is it okay?" Saying this, Katakuri's aura became fierce and fierce. It's like a sleeping beast slowly waking up. Feeling such momentum, the surrounding baby -5 and Monet involuntarily backed away. Baron Eggman did the same, and quickly carried the unconscious Pokomus away, fearing that he would be affected. Caesar Current, who was hiding in the dark, was even more worried. This perfect man is about to take action. When Yong Hao heard this, he smiled. This scene did not surprise him. In fact, he also knew that Katakuri wanted to fight him personally. In addition to verifying his strength at this time, there may not be a reason for Pokomus to stand up for him. But this is exactly what Yong Hao wants, because he knew that only in this way would Katakuri truly recognize their research results and never give up the billion Baileys with both hands. Ever since, Yong Hao agreed, "No problem, come on." As soon as he finished speaking, Yong Hao was not polite, raised his huge legs and feet, and rumbled towards Katakuri to attack. The fist as big as a water tank struck Katakuri with a roaring wind. Seeing the huge momentum of Yong Hao's attack, everyone was shocked again. Katakuri, however, looked calm, and when the giant ape came to kill him, he suddenly launched his attack. A buzzing sound. A large amount of glutinous rice balls suddenly appeared on Katakuri's body. The glutinous balls gathered on his right arm, forming a huge arm. As he clenched his arm, it turned into a giant fist that was not weaker than Yong Hao's fist, and he struck out boldly. Armed domineering energy lingers on it, turning it into a huge iron fist. The next second, as everyone watched in shock, two giant fists collided with each other. Boom! A strong wind rose. Everyone's eyes widened. This attack was evenly matched. The giant ape transformed by Yong Hao and Katakuri both took a few steps back at the same time. "You actually blocked Yong Hao's fist. He is indeed the strongest general." Seeing this scene, Caesar Current and others were amazed. Because he wanted to show his huge power, he did not deliberately use other techniques. In a daze, it seemed like two giants were fighting fiercely on the spot. Ever since. As for Yong Hao, changes appeared on his body in less than 2 seconds. This man, apart from his camp, is really hard to fault. Yong Hao was inevitably hit by the huge iron fist. The ground immediately cracked, and strong winds swept away. Just like that, they fought for a while. The huge body suddenly shrank. Suddenly, Katakuri raised his eyebrows and stopped actively. Both Yong Hao and Katakuri had varying degrees of injuries on their bodies. Everyone looked at it nervously, but Katakuri did not take advantage of him. Even if he activated his armed hockey, it would only cover his fists. Soon. How is it? Are our results okay? Of course, we cannot yet make a complete conclusion as to who is stronger and who is weaker. The hair also weakens, but facing Yong Hao like this, Katakuri could fight him seemingly easily. Yong Hao immediately understood that Katakuri had predicted that the effect of his monster's strengthened form would disappear, so he stopped in advance. The two clashed with each other. Boom boom boom. Katakuri also inspired more glutinous balls, and with both hands, huge iron fists burst out. As for Katakuri, the same is true. Less than a moment. Just pure use of brute force. At this time, Yong Hao still had a trace of blood on the corner of his mouth, but he smiled without caring. Yong Hao sighed and completely restored his human form. There is no doubt about Yong Hao's power because he defeated Pokomus in one punch just now. After one attack failed, Yong Hao and Katakuri also tacitly attacked again. In the blink of an eye, Yong Hao returned to the appearance of a 3-meter-long ape. Looking at the motionless Katakuri, Yong Hao couldn't help but be amazed. Although he is still fierce, he looks a little more breathless and weak. He obviously did not dodge on purpose, but just stood there and faced Yong Hao head-on. Yong Hao clenched his fists tightly, and then struck out continuously. The swift and violent fists directly formed a large circle of fist shadows. He is truly a tough guy. Chapter 149 1 billion, Mary Pudding to him. Hearing Yong Hao's words, not far away, Caesar Current clenched his fists and became nervous. He knew that whether he could pass the test this time depended on Katakuri's next response. After Katakuri pondered for a moment, he nodded. Your results are indeed very good. However, do you also need to explain to us the side effects of this giant drug, as well as the manufacturing cost, etc.? Caesar Cullen was suddenly overjoyed when he heard Katakuri's first words, but he was shocked again when he heard the next words. Fortunately, Yong Hao also answered questions like this fluently. In the end, Katakuri nodded completely, fully recognizing the results of this human body enlargement experiment. 1 billion in funds were quickly transported through the mirror fruit by Bree from the Charlotte family. When Yong Hao saw the appearance of the old witch-looking Bu Lei, instead of showing disgust, Yong Hao looked at her eagerly. Of course, he didn't like Bree, but the other person's fruit ability. In his opinion, the mirror fruit is also a god-level fruit. In Bree's hands, it was a complete waste. If it is mastered by Buggy, who will open a pirate express company in the future, he will be able to do business all over the world. Of course, even if it is just used for ordinary express delivery, it is invincible. Whatever you do, you can become the richest man in the world. In addition, it seems that the mirror fruit can also be used to solve the situation where the world will sink in the sea in the future. There is no land outside, so you can definitely live in the mirror world. But right now, the ability of Jingjing fruit is obviously not within Yong Hao's reach. Putting aside everything else, if Yong Hao dared to take action against Bree, Katakuri would be the first to let him go. Against Katakuri, Yong Hao was actually invincible. This is true even if he has mastered autonomous monster strengthening. As for why Yong Hao was so sure, it was naturally because he had tested it in simulations. In fact, after learning that Katakuri would come, Yong Hao's first simulation was not to explore ways to deal with the opponent, but to confront Katakuri directly. Because Yong Hao also wants to know, if he can defeat Momoshage, who is the deputy of the Emperor, can he also defeat Katakuri, who is the deputy of the Emperor? In that simulation, it was not the head-on confrontation just now, but a real battle, using all means. But in the end, Katakuri won. As for the reason, it is very simple, just as Yong Hao thought before. Mastering monster strengthening, he has indeed reached the general level combat power. But that kind of combat power does not last long. It's okay to defeat Momoshage, but it won't work when faced with a hexagonal lieutenant like Katakuri who is good at protracted battles. In the monster's enhanced form, he can indeed suppress the opponent, but after the time limit expires, he will naturally be unable to defeat the opponent. Fortunately, to deal with Katakuri, you don't have to fight with the opponent. Otherwise, Yong Hao really won't be able to pass the test this time. Although he couldn't get his hands on the mirror's ability, Yong Hao was still very satisfied with the result this time. Especially after seeing 1 billion Baileys in real money, the smile on his face never stopped. After leaving 1 billion Baileys behind, Katakuri left with Bree and others, including the comatose Porkmas. Regarding this, Yong Hao also felt a little regretful. In fact, if possible, he really planned to keep Porkmas for research. This guy is not only a fur-bearer, but also a user with animal-type fruit abilities. He is really suitable for research. But Yong Hao simulated it several times and couldn't find a way. Unless, he can defeat Katakuri and force Porkmas to stay. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Katakuri to abandon his companions. It's right when you think about it. The real men in the pirate world are all real gentlemen. If you are hypocritical and cunning, you will not be respected by others. For example, Whitebeard. Katakuri apparently did the same. If he would abandon his friends, he wouldn't be loved by so many sea fans. Of course, no matter what, Yong Hao returned home with a full load this time. With this billion Bailey, he is very confident. You should be able to fully possess the power of a giant by taking more giant medicine. This also means that he will completely master the monster's enhanced form. By that time, he will naturally have general level combat power. As for how to explain to the ant, haha, with general level combat power, do I still need to explain to her? Boo. Brother Yong Hao, I really have you. You are so awesome. While Yong Hao was thinking about it, Caesar Current floated over excitedly. He looked at Yong Hao with eyes full of admiration. He really didn't expect that Yong Hao could really deal with such a difficult guy as Katakuri. At this moment, Katakuri's voice sounded again. Mom, I think that fierce ape Yong Hao is a talent. Do you want to recruit him? That guy Doflamingo is not a good person, also unknown as Katakuri. We haven't had a tea party for a long time, it's time to have another one. When she heard that Yong Hao, an ordinary animal fruit user, really had the size and strength of a giant, Auntie's eyes suddenly lit up. Hearing this, the ant was startled. Caesar Current, who was excited at this time, did not know that Yong Hao had decided to directly embezzle the billion. I have to say that Katakuri's words still make sense. Thinking of this, the ant suddenly had a good idea. Very good. Katakuri was startled, then nodded. She grinned. When the time comes when he really develops a successful giant drug, will he really hand it over obediently, or will he make some cuts or even play other tricks? However, what Katakuri doesn't know is that Big Mom's actions will trigger a war in the near future. Not only did the other party recognize the research results, but he actually received 1 billion Baileys from the other party. The most important thing is whether Caesar Current will hide anything from us by then. If Yong Hao can be successfully recruited as an experimental subject, he will definitely know the true effect of the giant medicine. Auntie is in high spirits, wishing that Yong Hao's research would be successful soon and she would get a completely successful giant medicine. She still takes this matter very seriously. On Cake Island, the ant asked immediately when she saw Katakuri coming back. The future is limitless. If this is the case, it is necessary to win over Yong Hao. Real. He was not surprised at all that Auntie wanted to get married. This was also Auntie's usual approach. With Doflamingo's character, this is obviously very possible. Caesar Current is Doflamingo's subordinate. A pirate supernova can actually kill Pokemon instantly. Well, in that case, let Pudding marry him. The more the ant thought about it, the more excited she became. By that time, if she can gain another increase in giant power, I am afraid that even Kaido and Whitebeard will not be her opponent. Besides, even if there is no human body enlargement experiment, Yong Hao is indeed a talent. Then she began to ponder. How's it going, Katakuri? Katakuri immediately recounted his experience in Punk Hasad. He asked Baron Eggman and Pokermus to drive back on the pirate ship, while he and Bree went through the mirror world and returned to the 10,000 Kingdoms first to tell Big Mom his fate. With this billion Bailey, his research can be carried out better. Chapter 150 Brother Ming's Thoughts, Auntie's Tea Party Invitation. Dressrosa. Doflamingo received a call from Monet again. Doflamingo is also used to this. When Yong Hao was away, Monet didn't contact him for a long time. After all, there was nothing to contact, and Caesar Current's research was not so easy to bear fruit. Over there was no problem with Caesar Current's safety because of the confidentiality. But after Yong Hao went to Punk Hasad, Monet's contact increased more, and he only called once every 3 days. Doflamingo is used to it. Monet, what's going on this time? It's also about Yong Hao. Yes, young master. Auntie sent someone to the island half a day ago. Oh, who is it? Doflamingo looked serious when he heard his aunt sent someone over. These 4 emperors are not easy to come by and must be treated with caution. He knew before that Caesar Current wanted to ask Auntie for money. Although he acquiesced, it didn't mean that he really didn't care. Putting aside everything else, what if Caesar Current offends Auntie? So Doflamingo also asked Monet to keep an eye on the situation secretly and report to him at any time. Later, when he learned the amount of money Caesar Current demanded, Doflamingo couldn't help but turn dark. Even he thought that the lion had opened his mouth, and the ant must be the same. It is normal for her to send someone to conduct an on-site inspection in person. But now it seems that there is obviously a new development in the situation. Auntie sent someone here. Who is it? Among the people sent by Big Mom, the leader is Katakuri. When Doflamingo heard Monet's name, his expression suddenly froze. Is it him? He was surprised and asked, are you okay? Thinking of that perfect man, Doflamingo couldn't help but feel afraid. We're fine, that's it. Monet also told Doflamingo what happened after Katakuri arrived. Doflamingo's expression quickly became exciting. What? Yong Hao can turn into a huge monster. In a pure competition of strength, you actually ended up on a par with Katakuri? In the end, Katakuri really left a billion Baileys behind. Holding the phone, Doflamingo's face was full of astonishment. This situation was really beyond his expectation. You know, Doflamingo is even ready to assist Caesar Current and Yong Hao at any time. As long as something goes wrong over there, he will rush over from Dressrosa. But what I never expected was that it was actually done over there. And it was still done by Yong Hao. The monster's transformation is the form it took after eating too many blue wave balls. Doflamingo frowned. He thought a lot. Knowing the existence of Lanbochu, he couldn't help but think of the tricks in it. It is very possible that Yong Hao's explanation of the results is watery. But there is no need to expose Doflamingo. Yong Hao was able to get 1 billion Baileys for research. It is also of great benefit to him. All because he can obtain any research results from the institute. If he could use that billion Bailey to research something, he would certainly benefit. In addition, with this billion, they no longer need to provide funds to the research institute for the time being, and they can breathe a little easier. On the other hand, Yong Hao was able to control the situation of monster strengthening, which made Doflamingo more concerned and even resentful. You know, until now, the reason why he supports Yong Hao so much is entirely because of his love for Baby-5 and Yong Hao's suppression of strength. Needless to say, there is no need to say more about Baby 5's Iujiwu. Suppression in terms of power naturally refers to the fact that even if Yong Hao wants to cause trouble, he can suppress it. There is no problem for 7 warlords of the Sea Force to suppress a pirate supernova. But this situation is not static. Pirate supernova may also become stronger. In fact, most of the current 7 warlords of the sea were pirate supernovas in the past. For example, the Empress or Crocodile. Therefore, the gap between Pirates Supernova and 7 Warlords of the Sea is not that big. If a Pirate Supernova becomes stronger and has some power, he is fully qualified to become 7 Warlords of the Sea. In view of this, Doflamingo is still a little afraid of Yong Hao. But in Doflamingo's opinion, there is no problem in using Yong Hao in a short period of time. It is unlikely that he will become stronger in a short period of time, let alone build a force. But now, Doflamingo suddenly discovered that even if Yong Hao was allowed to focus on research, his strength had still improved. Realizing this, Doflamingo couldn't help but frown. Faintly, he was a little uneasy. Caesar Current, as long as he has money for research, he doesn't care much about his own strength. Even in his words, he was very positive about Yong Hao. So there is no reason to touch her, but his strength seems to be increasing day by day. Hearing the voice on the other side of the phone, Doflamingo had a drop of cold sweat on his forehead. I originally thought that the same would be true for Yong Hao. Half a day later, a phone call from Wangguo caught Doflamingo off guard. Doflamingo looked at the phone bug, his expression extremely gloomy, and he was speechless for a long time. This can be seen from his lack of dual-color domineering. It should be because of this incident. Four Emperor's aunt, why did you call me? It is true that he is not a law-abiding person. During this period, he often brought accidents to himself. Because he can suppress it at any time. Although so far, Yong Hao has not shown any intention of learning domineering. Sure enough. But just when Doflamingo was thinking this, an accident happened. This is not a discussion, but a notification. As he said this, he couldn't help but think of Katakuri's recent visit to Punk Hassad Island for inspection. Because with the contact, he has understood Yong Hao more or less. Even through the phone bug, Doflamingo felt a huge pressure. Doflamingo was extremely surprised and was stunned for several seconds before asking, Auntie, what's the matter? For such people, Doflamingo is very safe to use. Besides, Yong Hao still has a huge effect on him at present. Although this kind of accident included the improved results of the Blue Wave Ball, Doflamingo actually didn't like it. But at the moment, Doflamingo has no good solution, let alone an excuse to deal with Yong Hao, so he can only maintain the status quo. But now it seems that there are still some differences. But in the end, a request was made that shocked Doflamingo. What the aunt talked about next was exactly what happened to Punk Hassad. Doflamingo, I plan to marry my daughter Pudding to Yong Hao. The wedding will be held at a tea party in 1 month. I will send the invitation. Please tell Yong Hao. After saying that, the aunt ended the call directly. I believe that no one in power wants to have such restless people under his command. He is different from a scientific research madman like Caesar Current. Four Emperors, aunt. Yong Hao may indeed be interested in scientific research, but he is restless. Mama. Doflamingo. Chapter 151 aroused the anger of the four emperors. Yong Hao only cares about the bride price? The news that Auntie asked Yong Hao to marry her daughter Pudding immediately spread within Don Quixote. What? That crazy B*ch, Auntie, wants to recruit Yong Hao as her son-in-law. What's going on? How did Auntie know about Yong Hao? Who knows, the young master is in a very bad mood right now. The cadres were all talking about it. Obviously, since the aunt has spoken, they have no room to refuse. That's four emperors. The current Don Quixote family cannot bear the anger of the four emperors. Compared to the Don Quixote family, Doflamingo would definitely choose to hand over Yong Hao. But now Yong Hao is very important. Handing him over would mean that the Blue Wave project would be leaked. There is even a high possibility that Yong Hao will take her to Auntie's side. You can imagine how bad this situation is. All in all, this is troublesome. This news was quickly learned by Violet, who was well informed. What? After learning this news, Violet was also stunned. But what followed was a surprise. As a being who was coerced by Doflamingo, she naturally enjoyed hearing about the misfortune of the Don Quixote family. And this was also the reason why she tried to seduce Yong Hao to cause trouble before. It's just that he hooked it, but he still couldn't attract Yong Hao. Especially recently, Yong Hao went to Punk Hassad. She and Yong Hao even lost contact, but what Violet didn't expect was that in a twists and turns, the Don Quixote family was in danger of overthrowing again because of Yong Hao. She is also very aware of the power of the four emperors. There is no doubt that if Doflamingo dares to refuse Auntie's request, Don Quixote may really be destroyed in an instant. But Violet also knows Doflamingo's character very well. Although the Lan Bochu project has made great progress, he will never let him abandon his entire family for Yong Hao. And this is not something that can be undone by abandoning the family. When the time comes, if we really confront Auntie, it is very likely that the Blue Wave project and the family will be lost together. So one can imagine how Doflamingo will choose. In addition, Violet also knew about the existence of Caesar Coolant. Since there is Caesar Current, Yong Hao's importance is actually not that great. In this way, Doflamingo will be less likely to fight against Auntie for Yong Hao. So the final result of this matter can only be that Doflamingo agrees to hand over Yong Hao. But Violet doesn't want this to happen. Is there any way to make Don Quixote anger Big Mom? For example, expose her relationship with Yong Hao? Or maybe reveal the relationship between Yong Hao and BABY5? But thinking of this, Violet still shook her head. Auntie shouldn't care about this. After all, this is a marriage of interests. So, what else can be done? Violet stirred her brain. She felt this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If this opportunity is missed, the Don Quixote family will grow stronger in the future, even reaching the level of four emperors. It will be even more difficult to move it down and restore the country. So, what can be done? Violet thought for a long time, and she really came up with a way. Yes. Violet's beautiful eyes lit up. It occurred to her suddenly. Since there is no way to arouse the ant's anger, then, can it arouse the anger of the other 4 emperors? Violet suddenly thought of another 4 emperors, Kaido. Yeah, why didn't I think of this level? Thinking of this, Violet became energetic. It suddenly occurred to her that she could arouse Kaido's anger towards Doflamingo. That is, reveal the existence of Rambo Ball to Kaido. There is no doubt that Doflamingo will definitely not provide Kaido with something like a blue wave ball that can enhance the ability of animal fruits. Because in that case, Kaido and even the entire Beast Pirates might be greatly increased in power, becoming the strongest 4 emperors group. This is of no benefit to the Don Quixote family. Instead, it hides itself and secretly strengthens itself, perhaps raising the Don Quixote family to the level of 4 emperors. It seems like Kaido doesn't know the existence of the blue wave ball. The more Violet thought about it, the brighter her eyes became. As long as Kaido's anger is aroused, Doflamingo will never be able to take advantage of him. And when the time comes, if Kaido attacks and causes a chain reaction, Don Quixote may really collapse. After all, at that time, Kaido might also ask for Yong Hao, which would lead to a conflict with Auntie. Thinking of the end, Violet became excited. The only problem now is that she doesn't have Kaido's contact information. But this one is very simple. Yong Hao's wedding will not be held all at once, she has time to get it. As for whether Kaido will believe it or not, there is no need to worry about it. As long as Kaido has the slightest suspicion, this thing can be done. At this time, Doflamingo didn't know that Violet was already trying to cause trouble. After ending the call with the ant, he directly held a cadre meeting based on the ant's request. The outcome of the meeting was not beyond Violet's expectations. Although Yong Hao is very important to them now, it is impossible for them to fight against Auntie for Yong Hao. The most important thing is that with Caesar current here, Yong Hao can completely master the blue wave ball skills. In this way, it is not a big question whether Yong Hao is asked to leave by his aunt. The only problem is that if Yong Hao is asked to leave by the aunt, the blue wave ball will no longer be their patent. It is very likely that Auntie will also take a fancy to this project and develop it. It's even possible to spread the word. Then in the future, they will lose the advantage of using the blue wave ball to increase their strength. This also means that all the research funds previously invested in Yong Hao have been wasted. But losing this batch of research funds is better than burning down the entire family. So the final result of the meeting was to agree to the aunt to hand over Yong Hao. In this way, as the meeting ended, the news spread completely. The invitation to Auntie's tea party was quickly delivered to Dressrosa. In addition, there was another one, which was sent to Punk Hassad Island again by Eggman Baron and Pokmusk. Yong Hao's expression became extremely strange when he saw Baron Eggman and Pokmusy returning, even bringing invitations to the tea party. Especially after Baron Eggman and Pokmusk conveyed Big Mom's meaning, he was completely confused. Auntie wants me to be her son-in-law, or do you want Pudding to marry me? Isn't this Sanji's drama? Why did it happen to me? Yong Hao couldn't laugh or cry, but when he came back to his senses, his eyes gradually lit up. This seems to be a bad thing for Doflamingo, but for him, it doesn't seem bad. Let's not talk about anything else. If the aunt asks him to get married, how much gift will she give? Chapter 152 Windfall, Yong Hao, you want to marry another woman? No, I will never agree. Baby Five's face was full of anger, and he screamed regardless of the presence of Eggman and Pokmus. She can tolerate other women around Yong Hao, such as Violet, but she obviously cannot tolerate him marrying other women. Even if this is the request of the 4 emperors, she will not agree. Baron Eggman and Porkmus were a little embarrassed when they heard this. Yong Hao didn't care much about Baby Five's anger. Baby -5 is easy to coax, just find any excuse when the time comes. However, this matter really exceeded his expectation. What should have happened to Sanji actually happened to him. Yong Hao was a little strange. You know, in the original work, Auntie recruits Sanji as her son-in-law because she wants to annex the Vinsmoke family and seize their science and technology. But why is it replaced by Yong Hao now? Could it be that Auntie wants to use this to annex the Don Quixote family? Thinking of this, Yong Hao shook his head. Obviously, this is not the reason. After all, there is nothing in the Don Quixote family that Auntie covets. Except, blue wave ball? So, it's a blue wave ball? Yong Hao thought about it and thought it was not the case. After all, the blue ball is so important, Doflamingo will not reveal it to the aunt. After thinking about it, there is probably only one possibility. That is, what the aunt is interested in is Yong Hao himself. Yong Hao couldn't help but think of his previous contact with Katakuri. If nothing else, the reason lies in that meeting. Did Auntie recognize his power? Or is it because of the experimental results of human body enlargement? Or maybe both. Yong Hao felt that the reasons should lie in these aspects. But it doesn't seem to matter what the reason is. What matters is what benefits he can get from it. Now that the aunt is asking him to marry Pudding, he should be given a bride price, right? Haha, as 4 emperors, you can't be too shabby. Your captain, this is her plan to poach me, but how much money is she prepared to pay? With this idea in mind, Yong Hao asked Baron Eggman and Pokmus without any hesitation. Yong Hao knew that Doflamingo might not dare to ask Auntie for anything. After all, he was really afraid that Big Mom would crush Dressrosa. But Doflamingo agreed. It was Doflamingo, he is who he is. If the aunt wants to let him marry her, she should also give him some benefits, right? Bowie gift. What do you mean? Do you want to ask your mother to get the money? Hearing Yong Hao's words, Baron Eggman and Pokemusy were both confused. I originally thought that Yong Hao would be overjoyed when he heard this news. Because it's his honor. Even if Yong Hao really has any dissatisfaction, he should hold it in. What I didn't expect was that he actually put forward the conditions directly. Even Doflamingo doesn't dare to do this. How dare Yong Hao? Yong Hao laughed dumbly. His confidence naturally comes from his strength. Now he is firmly in the Imperial Deputy stage. After spending the billion left by Katakuri, his combat power will most likely reach the level of a general. This kind of strength has allowed him to be a little bit more arrogant. And he is alone, so what if the aunt gets angry because of this? The worst thing is, just walk away. Mastering the Wukong technique, Yong Hao can reach all the greatness of this world. Even if Bree's mirror fruit ability can quickly span long distances, he is not afraid. It would be okay if the aunt didn't find him. Now that they fall in love with him and want him to be their son-in-law, of course they have to pay a price. Baron Eggman and Popmus came to their senses and sneered. Ape, are you crazy? It's your honor for Mom to like you? Do you know how scary the four emperors are? Don't be so self-righteous as to cause yourself great trouble. Yong Hao smiled slightly. You two don't need to worry about this. I already have a beloved woman. Auntie wants to force a wife on me, but I won't accept it unless she gives me a satisfactory gift. Hearing this, Baron Eggman and Popmus were even more confused, and looked at Yong Hao angrily. You. What, do you two want to fight with me? Yong Hao asked lightly. Baron Eggman and Pokermus were immediately frightened. They have seen with their own eyes how powerful Yong Hao is. Especially Pokemoose. The body that was hit by Yong Hao before was still aching. They really didn't dare to take action against Yong Hao again. Of course, they didn't dare to act rashly until they could figure out Auntie's attitude. After all, Auntie's invitation was too sudden. Katakuri probably made the decision when he returned. Otherwise, they should have mentioned it together during their previous inspection, instead of handing the invitation to them later and bringing it over again. But now, it seems that the invitation is not being sent smoothly. Reluctantly, the two of them discussed it and had to call back and ask the aunt for instructions. What? Yong Hao asked me for a gift, soon. The angry voice of the aunt came from Cake Island. Only Katakuri stood up to Conqueror's domineering attitude and stepped forward to persuade her. Mom, calm down. The aunt was so angry that she laughed and started talking to Yong Hao directly. Yong Hao easily harvested this windfall. Some negotiations. Was this Doflamingo's instruction or his own idea? If it's a dowry, is that still okay? When they discussed letting Yong Hao get married before, they didn't consider Yong Hao's opinion. As soon as he finished speaking, Yong Hao ended the call directly. Certainly. Auntie is not bragging. Katakuri was still sensible enough, and he understood the key in a few moments. Yes, Yong Hao is about to be married, so what if you give him a betrothal gift? Will it return to their hands by then? But what I never expected was that Yong Hao would actually spit out his request. And Doflamingo naturally didn't dare to disobey them. What a good boy. How dare you ask me for a betrothal gift? How dare you think that I want a betrothal gift? However, Yong Hao's faint voice came. I have never given it before, so let's start giving it now, otherwise, I will not agree to this marriage. Well, boy, do you know what you are talking about? I have so many children, and when I get married, I have never given them any gifts or dowries. The aunt was stunned when she looked at the sleeping phone bug. As he said this, streaks of red lightning burst out. The children around him were as silent as cicadas. This is based on the premise that they can suppress Yong Hao. Katakuri, who happened to be nearby, couldn't help but be confused when he heard this. She has only one purpose for marrying her children, which is to strengthen the Charlotte family. That's all. Actually, it's okay to give a betrothal gift. When the time comes, Yong Hao will be ours, and the betrothal gift given to him will also fall into our pockets. Otherwise, their money is Yong Hao's money, and Yong Hao's money is also Yong Hao's money. When a daughter gets married, she will not give a dowry to others. When her son gets married, he will not give bride price to others. After hearing this, the aunt calmed down her anger and snorted coldly. The next second, she came back to her senses and smiled ferociously. Thinking of this, Katakuri frowned. All because in their opinion, Yong Hao, as a cadre under Doflamingo, should listen to Doflamingo. She thought about Katakuri's statement and felt it made sense. The only female member of the four emperors was furious. Both parties set the betrothal gift at 500 million belly. Chapter 153 Complete Monster Strengthening, Moon Lion Transformation Characteristics. 1.5 billion. Yong Hao's eyes lit up as he looked at the assets in his hands. Having obtained 1 billion from Big Mom before, he was already confident that he could completely master the monster enhancement. Now that he has received an unexpected fortune of 500 million, maybe he can conduct research on the fur tribe? In fact, Swallowing the giant medicine, superimposing the power of the giant, and researching the fur tribe can be carried out at the same time. It's just that Yong Hao's funds were not sufficient before. But now, with 1.5 billion, it can be fully launched. According to Yong Hao's estimation, the real money-consuming part of fur research is the fur slaves. But now, with only one fur tribe, it shouldn't cost much. Thinking of this, Yong Hao used his brain to strengthen it and began to think about it, after confirming that nothing was missing. He also officially started. On the first day, you continued to swallow the giant medicine, and deceived Caesar to start research on the fur tribe. Close black lens bracket. The reason why you use it is very good. The fur tribe may be very helpful in improving artificial devil fruits. Close black lens bracket. Caesar Current is convinced of this, because the opinions you put forward are very useful, such as the previous experiments on human enlargement. Close black lens bracket. Next, you begin to use instruments to record in detail the information and status of the female fur tribe during their transformation. Close black lens bracket. After a few days of research, you discovered why this fur tribe has such a high auction price. It is obviously because of the Moon Lion transformation. Close black lens bracket. Under the transformation of Moon Lion, all abilities of the fur tribe will be greatly improved, and their power will be several times greater than before. This Moon Lion transformation is naturally the key to your research. Close black lens bracket. Time gradually passes, 10 days, half a month. A month later, Auntie's ship comes to greet you, and you end the simulation on your own initiative. Close black lens bracket. The simulation is over, benign changes are obtained, a little bit of giant power, malignant changes are eliminated, and hidden injuries caused by swallowing drugs are eliminated. Close black lens bracket. When the Ants' Tea Party started, Yong Hao took the initiative to end the simulation. Because he knew that after going to Wangguo, there would not be as good research conditions as in Punk Hassad. Even if it is arranged later, it will take a lot of time. In order not to waste time, he naturally ended the simulation early. This simulation only lasted for a month, so the giant medicine had little effect. However, there has been some progress in research on fur tribes. If you want to study fur people, the first thing you need to do is, of course, to have a clear understanding of them. In the past, Yong Hao also understood the fur tribe, but he only stayed on the surface. But this time, he really understood the fur tribe. Especially for the fur tribe's Moon Lion transformation. To be honest, this ability stimulated by looking at the full moon is really similar to the Saiyan transforming into a giant ape in Dragon Ball. They all gain amazing power by looking at the full moon, but the disadvantages are the same. If they can't control it, they will go berserk and die. However, the appearance of Moon Lion's transformation is more inclined to Super Saiyan. So in general, Moon Lion's transformation is similar to the superposition of Saiyan Giant Ape and Super Saiyan. Yong Hao is of course very interested in this form. His Super Saiyan God form is similar to the Moon Lion transformation. In this case, can we find opportunities for improvement in the Moon Lion transformation? Yong Hao noticed that the physical energy consumed by the Moon Lion transformation was actually not much. Otherwise, even those with animal fruit abilities would not be able to sustain such high-intensity exercise for a long time. So perhaps more of the energy consumed by the Moon Lion to transform comes from the full moon? With this idea, Yong Hao suddenly felt something in his heart. His Super Saiyan Ape God form also consumes a lot of energy. Within a short while, he shriveled up and couldn't even use his abilities. So, can he, like the fur tribe, use the power of the full moon to transform for a long time? Logically speaking, it should be possible. After all, the fur tribe can do it, which proves that this method is feasible. It's just that he still needs to figure out the secret of how the fur tribe transforms into a moon lion. Is it due to racial origin, or is it a skill specially practiced by the fur tribe? Of course, Yong Hao prefers ethnic origin. In this case, it is necessary to study the blood, cells, and even blood factors of the fur tribe. Yong Hao silently used his brain to strengthen his thinking for a long time, and then continued the simulation. On the first day, you and Caesar Current started research again, and you extracted part of the blood of the female fur tribe. Close black lens bracket. In addition, soon, he also made progress in his research on fur tribe. Even 50 million appeared in one day. But as the power of the giant increased, the time for Yong Hao's independent monster strengthening soon also increased. This time, he began to try cell implantation. At this point, he has naturally completely mastered monster enhancement. The next day was the night of the full moon, and the female fur tribe transformed into a moon lion. Close black lens bracket. The time in the simulation system has passed month after month. At least we know that blood transfusion is not possible, so let's start studying cells. 1 billion, and then another 5 billion. You personally took action and once again extracted the blood of the female fur tribe in this state. Close black lens bracket. He tried again and again. By testing the blood, you discovered that the blood of the furry tribe is slightly different when they are transformed than when they are not transformed. Close black lens bracket. This simulation ended in less than a month. 10 million a day, 30 million a day. Yong Hao's attempt to obtain the Moon Lion transformation through blood exchange failed, and his life was in danger. All in all, they are changing themselves crazily to form the characteristics of the fur tribe. Because the genetic code is hidden in everyone's body, there will be a major crisis if you enter it incorrectly once, let alone multiple attempts. Unknowingly, the money Yang Hao had on hand was consumed at a terrifying speed. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. The result failed. After the blood transfusion, you did not master the Moon Lion transformation. Instead, the blood transfusion caused a series of complications and made you seriously ill. Close black lens bracket. However, the gains are also accumulated little by little. Real money is like water. Simulation ends. In this case, there is naturally no need to continue simulating it. When the other party transformed, there was an unknown substance in the blood. This is definitely a major discovery. Close black lens bracket. If it were an ordinary person, they would definitely not dare to modify it at will. With this discovery, you continue to research, and you even try to exchange blood with the fur tribe. Close black lens bracket. It was not until after spending 800 million that Yang Hao fully possessed the complete power of a giant, and then mastered the monster strengthening for a day. In this form, Yang Hao could only transform independently for a few minutes. Thinking like this, Yang Hao started the simulation again. Not to mention the power of giants, the research on the fur tribe has also gone a step further. But the existence of the simulation system gave Yang Hao the confidence to try infinitely. However, this simulation was not without its rewards. 1.5 billion soon turned into 1 billion. First, the monster strengthens its form. Chapter 154 The plot of the wedding at the tea party. Finally, success. In the room, Yang Hao was refreshed after finishing a simulation. After many simulations, he finally fully mastered the complete power of the giant, and with this, he fully mastered monster strengthening. Although the sequelae of monster strengthening still exist, the symptoms will become more serious as time goes by. But even so, it was enough to make him excited, because this also means that his combat power has completely reached the general level. In other words, he and General Marine are truly capable of fighting. As for who wins and who loses, it all depends on which Marine General he faces. After all, every Marine General has different strengths and abilities. No matter what, Yang Hao has completely reached this level. In addition, Yang Hao has also made progress in the Moon Lion transformation. This progress really lies in the blood factor. In the later stages of his research on the fur tribe, he simply transplanted the fur tribe's bloodline factors into his own body. This kind of transplantation, sequelae and complications are much more serious than transplanting blood and cells. In the simulation, Yang Hao died many times because of this. But because the simulation system can eliminate malignant changes, and it can continue to simulate after his death to find out where the symptoms are. After many simulations, he really successfully integrated the bloodline factors of the fur tribe. Of course, even if you incorporate the bloodline factors of the fur tribe, you cannot transform into a moon lion all at once. Maybe it's because he hasn't been trained, or because he has a small number of blood factors. In short, Yang Hao is unable to transform into a moon lion now. But Yang Hao was not disappointed. Now that the bloodline factor of the fur tribe has been integrated, the moon lion transformation is no longer as vague as before, but has found a direction. As long as we continue to work hard in this direction, the chances of moon lion's transformation being successful should be high. However, Yang Hao did not continue to implement this idea. Mainly because I don't have much money. Giant pills are really expensive. In addition, Yang Hao spent a lot of money studying the fur tribe. Therefore, after thoroughly mastering monster enhancement and integrating bloodline factors, he had very little money left. Yang Hao is not sure whether the current funds can further study the moon lion transformation. So, after some consideration, Yang Hao decided to change the simulation goal and put it on the wedding. That is the next Ant's tea party. With the complete strengthening of monsters, although Yang Hao's combat power has reached the level of a general, it cannot be said that he is not afraid of his aunt. If he really wants to do it, he will probably lose to his aunt. In addition, Big Mom is not alone. If the entire Big Mom pirate group is besieged by then, even he will be hated now. So to be on the safe side, Yang Hao decided to simulate a tea party. No matter what I say, I still know it well. If you really think that a general's combat power can be used casually, that is not self-confidence, but arrogance. Certainly, after fully mastering monster enhancement, Yang Hao also wanted to verify his strength again, so it was perfect to simulate the plot of a tea party. It would be best if there was no fight, but if there was a fight, Auntie would obviously be a good verification object. In this way, Yang Hao brainstormed for a while and started the simulation again. This time, he did not avoid the tea party, but joined the plot accordingly. A month later, the pirate ship of the Big Mom pirates came to greet you. Without saying anything, you took Caesar Kulin and boarded the pirate ship directly. Close black lens bracket. Caesar Kulin also wanted to meet him, and on the pirate ship, you met Katakuri again. Close black lens bracket. In addition, there is also Bree, who has the mirror fruit ability. After chatting for a few words, you went directly to the cake island of 10,000 nations through Bree's mirror world. Close black lens bracket. When you arrive at the tea party venue on Cake Island, you see Doflamingo, Diamante, Violet, and News King Morgans. You are not surprised by the appearance of these people. Close black lens bracket. Needless to say, Morgans is Big Mom's friend. Although Doflamingo and others are very unhappy, they still have to do it on the surface. Of course, maybe they also have the intention to protect Caesar Current. Close black lens bracket. The only thing that surprises you is that baby -5 didn't know where to go, and she didn't follow you. Close black lens bracket. You asked Doflamingo about this, but Doflamingo didn't know where baby -5 was. Close black lens bracket. You were a little strange, but your attention was quickly attracted by the ant who made a grand appearance. Close black lens bracket. As expected of the four emperors, even if they don't deliberately release Conqueror's domineering energy, their powerful aura is still extremely terrifying. Watching the other party approaching, you can't help but feel a shiver in your heart. Close black lens bracket. Everything went well at the tea party. After a few words as the host, the ant announced the start of the wedding. Close black lens bracket. A beautiful figure wearing a white wedding dress was slowly brought out by the priest. It is none other than Pudding who wants to marry you. Close black lens bracket. Seeing Pudding, your thoughts can't help but fall on this poor woman. Close black lens bracket. Pudding has grown up in rejection and disgust all his life. Even though the cakes he makes are delicious, even though he has the ability to understand historical texts, and even though his fruit abilities are awesome, he is still not taken seriously, so much so that he was praised by Sanji in the original work and was loved. Get on each other. Close black lens bracket. You think it's a good thing that you picked up such a wife for nothing. Let's not talk about other things. If the other party's memory ability can be used for yourself, it will definitely come in handy. Close black lens bracket. You decide immediately to conquer Pudding in Sanji's way. Close black lens bracket. But just as the priest was reading, something unexpected happened. A beautiful woman, also wearing a white wedding dress, suddenly broke into the venue. Close black lens bracket. I object. A voice shouted, causing the entire lively tea party to fall silent for a moment. Close black lens bracket. A huge uproar arose. This beautiful woman in a white wedding dress ran towards Yong Hao without hesitation. She was none other than BABY5. Doflamingo, Diamante, and Violet in the crowd were suddenly shocked, and all the guests were stunned. Close black lens bracket. On the other hand, everyone in the Charlotte family looked gloomy, especially the ant, whose face suddenly turned as gloomy as water. Close black lens bracket. BABY5 did not successfully come to you because Katakuri foresaw the situation in advance and stood in front of her. Close black lens bracket. Get out of the way. Baby -5 shot out angrily, but couldn't move Katakuri at all. Close black lens bracket. Seeing that Big Mom was already showing signs of anger, Doflamingo and others were shocked. Katakuri's body was filled with glutinous rice balls, and he was obviously planning to take action against Baby -5. Close black lens bracket. Looking at the scene that looks like a farce, you, wearing a suit, can't help but laugh or cry. Close black lens bracket. What you never expected was that there was an accident at the tea party, and the accident actually came from Baby -5. This woman, you smiled bitterly, wearing a neat suit, suddenly bursting out. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 155. The ant group is besieging, and the monster turtle sects Qigong. Looking at the content in the simulation, Yong Hao couldn't help but become speechless in reality. When he first saw Baby -5 missing, he didn't pay much attention to it, but when he saw the back, Yong Hao suddenly understood. It turns out that Baby -5 had already planned it. She still couldn't stand Yong Hao marrying other women, even though Yong Hao had tried to persuade her. This really surprised Yong Hao. Could it be that her love for herself has exceeded the setting? That's why you did something that went against your character? Or, is this the character of BABY5? Charge for love? It has to be said that Yong Hao really did not expect Baby 5's behavior of snatching the marriage. They were all a little moved, so he didn't blame BABY5. And this situation is not too bad for Yong Hao. After all, he originally planned to find an opportunity to conflict with Auntie and others. Now that Baby -5 has created this opportunity, he naturally seizes it. Just at this moment, Yong Hao in the simulation also started to take action. The suit you were wearing is bursting out, your hair grows wildly, your body size grows wildly, and in the blink of an eye you turn into a 15-meter-long King Kong giant ape. Katakuri. You roared angrily, and slammed your fist as big as a water tank at Katakuri's back. This was not a simple fist, but a simian spear. Close black lens bracket. Katakuri obviously predicted it again. His pupils shrank, and the fist that attacked Baby -5 suddenly reversed, facing your attack. Close black lens bracket. But the result of the attack surprised Katakuri again. Although his attack was just hasty, it was equally powerful. But at this time, it was broken by you, and even his whole body was broken, flying upside down. Yong Hao. Seeing you suddenly getting angry, Baby 5's beautiful eyes lit up. Doflamingo and others all looked ugly, but Violet, on the other hand, was shocked and secretly happy. Close black lens bracket. She also likes to see this kind of situation. Close black lens bracket. In comparison, the faces of the Charlotte family members naturally changed drastically, and veins suddenly appeared on the ant's forehead. Close black lens bracket. Next, without the aunt's orders, her children will come to kill you. Close black lens bracket. The scene of the tea party was completely chaotic. Close black lens bracket. In response to this kind of slashing attack, you didn't even try to dodge and resisted with strong defense. However, in the blink of an eye, you were surrounded by enemies again. Close black lens bracket. Doflamingo was not able to take action, so he immediately retreated with Diamante and others. Close black lens bracket. Well done. You were not surprised but overjoyed when you saw this. You beat your chest with your fists and let out an earth-shattering roar. Close black lens bracket. As Katakuri violently waved his hands, countless glutinous balls flew across the sky, and then like javelins, they suddenly pierced your huge body. It turns out that it was Katakuri who took action. He created super hard and thick glutinous dough to protect Cracker and others. This was not over yet. At some point, two huge donuts appeared in front of Katakuri. Thing. Close black lens bracket. Immediately afterwards, you continued to fly high and flew to a place that was difficult for Katakuri to reach. In this way, Katakuri's awakening ability was immediately greatly reduced. Close black lens bracket. The dust rose, but when the dust stopped, a magical scene appeared. On the ground below, something like a bunker bulged up. Close black lens bracket. It's Cracker's biscuit core, launching a suicide attack on you. Close black lens bracket. Boom, 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 the fierce battle continues. Under the ravage of your invincible Hot Wheels, the ground below becomes devastated. Close black lens bracket. The terrifying sound waves shocked Cracker and others, as if they heard the strange voice of an ant, and the weaker ones stopped instantly or even retreated. Close black lens bracket. Cracker. Smoothie. There are other generals and ministers, all coming to attack. Close black lens bracket. Obviously, Katakuri was serious about it. He faced the sound wave and suddenly approached. The trident in his hand, under the influence of the glutinous rice balls, spun crazily, and attacked with armed domineering energy. Close black lens bracket. With the ability to predict the future, Katakuri is definitely a difficult opponent. Even if he has general-level combat power, he may not be able to please him. Morgans, the news king, excitedly picked up his camera and took pictures wildly. He suddenly discovered another big news. Close black lens bracket. Huge potholes formed one after another. In the monster's strengthened form, the power of any attack will be greatly enhanced, and turtle-style Qigong is no exception. Close black lens bracket. You grinned upon seeing this, and fired another ape god spear, knocking Katakuri back again. Now that the monster has strengthened you, you are actually stronger than before, because now you have a complete giant power. The next moment, terrifying power condenses in your palms, and then bursts out. A pure white light beam instantly illuminates the sky and explodes the earth. Close black lens bracket. The next second, the bunker disappeared, revealing everyone safe and sound. Close black lens bracket. So, when you gather your strength, the expressions of Katakuri, Doflamingo, and Big Mom all change. Close black lens bracket. This is the enhanced form of the monster. Is Yong how crazy? Doflamingo looked at your huge figure steadily, his face changing. Close black lens bracket. These biscuit soldiers still failed to let you break through the defense, but they also blocked you. Seeing more and more ministers coming to kill you, you suddenly rose into the sky, dancing in the air, and the invincible Hot Wheels were against you. The people below carried out indiscriminate terrorist attacks. Close black lens bracket. The seemingly hard glutinous dough melts and shatters in an instant. Wherever the turtle-style Qigong passes, everything disappears. As you move your palms, terrifying power pours out everywhere on the ground. Close black lens bracket. Feeling such power, the whole place fell into silence again. Bang bang bang, you activated the indestructibility for the first time and blocked Katakuri's attack. Close black lens bracket. But then, all your attacks were blocked by Katakuri. Even the invincible Hot Wheels could not break through the glutinous ball defense formed on the entire ground. Close black lens bracket. But just after you defeated Katakuri, another beam of blue light came towards you. It was Smoothie swinging his sword and slashing. Close black lens bracket. I've already thought of the title. The Tea Party staged a wedding drama. The murderous ape Yong Hao fought against the Big Mom pirates for a woman. In order to protect a younger brother, Katakuri collided directly with the turtle-style Qigong. The glutinous ball defense on his body was instantly shattered, and he flew backwards and was seriously injured. Close black lens bracket. Since this is the case, let's decide the outcome with one strike. Thinking of this, you mobilize all your strength and use the Doing Fist method to perform crazy compression. Close black lens bracket. With the blessing of Katakuri's armed color, the power of these javelin-like things has undergone a qualitative change. Katakuri's face was as dark as water as he stabilized his figure. Suddenly he took out a trident from his body and flew towards you again. Close black lens bracket. When various powers are added up, the attack power is astonishingly powerful. As Katakuri awakening, your heart trembles. Close black lens bracket chapter 156 Big Mom and Kaido, Conqueror's Awakening. You were about to take advantage of the victory and pursue it, but at this moment, a bolt of thunder suddenly struck you. Close black lens bracket. In the sky, at some point, a black cloud with a face appeared. It was Homit's, thundercloud Zeus created by Anti. Close black lens bracket. With a bang, you were hit by lightning. Although you were fine, your movements were stunned. Close black lens bracket. Immediately afterwards, Big Mom stepped on thundercloud Zeus and came towards you to kill you. Close black lens bracket. Yong, you didn't say a word, just fired a magic ape spear. Close black lens bracket. What's shocking is that the ant also punched you, and in the end she and you were evenly matched and both of them backed away. A hole. Such a result made Anti very angry, but you were refreshed. Ant is indeed very strong physically, but what she is good at is defense. She is known as the steel balloon. In terms of strength, she is also very strong, but she is not too abnormal. Close black lens bracket. With the ability of the animal fruit, combined with the muscle strength and giant power gained through training, you are already able to compete with them in terms of strength. Realizing this, you laughed loudly, suddenly rushed over, and fought fiercely with the ant. Close black lens bracket. Punch to the flesh. Deadly moves. Very classic hand-to-hand combat. Close black lens bracket. It's just that soon, you will inevitably fall behind. Close black lens bracket. First of all, Turtle School Qigong still consumes a lot of your strength. In addition, Big Mom's attack contains too much increase. Close black lens bracket. It goes without saying that the two-color domineering force is stronger than yours, as well as the thunder and fire bonus. In addition, there is also the most important Conqueror's domineering entanglement. Close black lens bracket. Various factors caused you, who seem to be more violent, to start to be suppressed. Close black lens bracket. Your monster enhancement is very strong, and it took half a day to fight the ant, but unfortunately, the accumulation of injuries has greatly reduced the time you can maintain. Close black lens bracket. After another moment, you already feel the limit is approaching. Close black lens bracket. If you lose the monster's enhanced form, I'm afraid you will die at the hands of Anti in an instant. However, at this moment, an accident occurred again. A large shadow suddenly appeared in the sky. Close black lens bracket. At this moment, all those who had mastered the domineering power of seeing and hearing felt something. They suddenly looked up at the sky. Among them, Doflamingo's pupils shrank and sweat appeared on his forehead. Close black lens bracket. Ant suddenly shouted angrily. Kaido, what are you doing here? Linlin, isn't this a tea party today? I'm here to join in the fun. After the words fell, a ferocious head like a hill poked out from the clouds. Close black lens bracket. Surprisingly, there was a huge and terrifying dragon head, and then, a huge blue dragon body also loomed in the clouds, like a sky-covering river hanging from high in the sky. Close black lens bracket. The expressions of everyone present change, including you. Close black lens bracket. There is no doubt that this is none other than Kaido. Kaido, who is also one of the 4 emperors, actually came to the tea party. What is going on? Just when everyone was surprised, the giant dragon transformed by Kaido began to utter words. Linlin, the longer you live, the more you go back to life, and you are actually bullying a child. You don't need to meddle in other people's business. Get out of here, otherwise, I will kill you. Kaido was furious when the ant heard this. Close black lens bracket. Although Yong Hao is young, he is not a child. You know, even Katakuri was defeated by him, but the ant was too lazy to explain so much to Kaido and just sent him away. Hearing this, Kaido's tone became cold. Laozi will go wherever he goes first. There is no place in this world that I, Kaido, cannot go to, even the Holy Land. Hearing Kaido's words, Anti suddenly became even more angry, and red lightning began to burst out all over her body. The terrifying Conqueror's domineering force rushed towards Kaido like a tsunami. Kaido grinned, and with his huge dragon body, red thunder also bloomed, and the terrifying momentum swept away. Close black lens bracket. The next second, the Conqueror's domineering energy of the 4 emperors collided. At this moment, a terrifying wave was produced. The wave swept across and even the sky was divided into 2 halves. Close black lens bracket. Everyone at the scene suddenly felt fearful and retreated, even Doflamingo was no exception. Conqueror's domineering obviously has strengths and weaknesses. As a 7 warlords of the sea, Conqueror's domineering is pretty good, but compared to the level of Kaido's mother, it's still not that interesting. So at this moment, even he felt like his hair was tingling and his heart was pounding with fear. Especially when he thought of the terrifying strength of the 2 people, he had to retreat. Of course, the first person to bear the brunt is Yong Hao, who is still on the battlefield. Close black lens bracket. At this moment, he felt like he was being crushed by 2 terrifying forces. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. In such a situation, your eyes lit up. Close black lens bracket. You have experienced Doflamingo and Katakuri's Conqueror's domineering power before, but it was always a bit less interesting. Close black lens bracket. But now, caught between the domineering impact of 4 emperors Conquerors, you feel huge oppression. Close black lens bracket. This oppression did not overwhelm you, but instead made you more motivated, and a new power was suddenly born in your body. Ha 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 ha. The next second, you laughed wildly, and an extremely violent momentum, mixed with red electricity, exploded in your body. Close black lens bracket. Boom. At this moment, everyone in the audience was shocked. Even Big Mom and Kaido cast shocked looks at you. Conqueror's Haki. What you are releasing at this time is also Conqueror's Haki, and its intensity is not weaker than Big Mom and Kaido. Close black lens bracket. 3 strands of Conqueror's domineering energy collided with each other, as if reaching a critical point, and exploded with a bang. A wave of terrifying mental fluctuations swept away invisibly, the earth trembled, and the dark clouds in the sky were instantly cleared. Close black lens bracket. It is no exaggeration to say that such a scene is earth-shattering. Simulation ends. Obtain benign changes, 1 combat experience, 2 Conqueror's domineering, eliminate malignant changes, 1 hidden physical injury, 2 mental damage. Next, Yong Hao did not continue the simulation, but ended the simulation excitedly. A wave of combat experience immediately flowed in his mind. This is not important. What is important is that at the same time, an invisible and terrifying force synchronized and revived in his body. Yong Hao's eyes brightened. To be honest, there were too many unexpected things in this simulation. The first was Baby Five's marriage robbery. Yong Hao did not expect that he would be so bold. Then Kaido showed up. Why did Kaido appear on Cake Island? Are you really here to attend the tea party, or do you have some other purpose? Of course, what surprised Yong Hao the most was that he actually awakened Conqueror's Haki. This represents the power of a king's qualifications. Is it because he was oppressed by the momentum of the 2-4 emperors, or is it because his strength has reached the level of a general and he has developed corresponding courage and awakened? The answer is unknown. The only thing that is certain is that now he is truly qualified to compete with those top kings. Chapter 157. The tea party is about to start. The new Shichibukai candidate. Time passed quietly. The Big Mom pirate's ship came to Punk Hassad again. Yong Hao, Caesar Current, and Monet, who had already received the information, stepped forward to greet them. Yong Hao, we meet again. On Big Mom's pirate ship, Katakuri walked out again with Baron Eggman and Pokomas. Katakuri, the leader, said hello and expressed friendship. Yong Hao nodded naturally, with a smile on his face. If there were no accidents, he would have become Katakuri's brother-in-law, but it's a pity. Hey, where's BABY5? When boarding the ship, Caesar Current suddenly asked in confusion. Baby-5 often follows Yong Hao, but now he has disappeared. Hearing this, Yong Hao smiled dumbly. Now it's time for the tea party to be held in reality, which is his wedding day. Just like the previous simulation, Baby-5 magically disappeared again. As for the reason, there is no need to say more. Yong Hao didn't bother to care, because he didn't want to join the Big Mom pirates. In other words, he has simulated a better place than joining the Big Mom pirates. Therefore, the Baby-5 marriage robbing aspect still needs to be retained. In this way, after Yong Hao escapes from Don Quixote, he can take Baby-5 away naturally without being blocked by Doflamingo. After all, Baby 5's robbery at the tea party is undoubtedly challenging the majesty of the ant. When Auntie pursues her case, even Doflamingo can't save her. So the best result is naturally to let Baby-5 leave with Yong Hao. While Yong Hao was thinking about this, Bree's figure had already appeared on the pirate ship. Behind her is a huge mirror. Suddenly seeing this huge transformation into a living person, Caesar Current and Monet were both startled. Yong Hao also deliberately showed surprise. Katakuri introduced lightly. This is my sister Bree, a mirror fruit user. She will use her ability to take us back to the world quickly. What? Mirror fruit ability? Caesar Current and Monet were still a little surprised. Yong Hao has naturally followed Shanryu. However, after many simulations, he changed his mind somewhat about the situation where the mirror fruit's ability was buried. Maybe, it's not that the mirror fruit ability has been buried. It's just that the ant kept it to herself and used it within the family without making it public. It's right when you think about it. The mirror fruit ability is well utilized and is completely comparable to the 5 Elders magic circle that shakes people. Of course, such an ability cannot be made public, otherwise, even the 4 emperors might covet it. Of course, with Auntie's current ability and status, even if it is announced, she can still manage it. This is probably the reason why Katakuri and others now dared to use it openly in front of them. Soon, Yong Hao and the others followed Katakuri, Bree and others into the strange mirror world. Through a marked entrance in the mirror world, they suddenly arrived at the Cake Island of 10,000 Kingdoms. After arriving here, Yong Hao became busy. After all, he was going to be a groom, so he still had to dress up. Caesar Current and Monet rushed to the venue and met Doflamingo first. The tea party is about to begin. Other side. The Marine headquarters is far away from Wangguo. A high-level meeting is underway. Such a meeting is held almost every month. It is to discuss more important matters together. At this moment, warring states suddenly brought up the topic of 7 warlords of the sea. I guess everyone knows about Crocodile's incident. He will definitely no longer be able to serve as 7 warlords of the sea. Considering the stability of the system, his position must be replaced as soon as possible. Hearing this, all the marine generals nodded. 7 warlords of the sea, of course you have to maintain 7 people. And recently, they are about to have a meeting with the 7 warlords of the sea, and this matter needs to be implemented. Do you have any recommendations? Warring States Fleet Admiral looked at everyone. All the generals pondered for a moment and named some candidates. In fact, there are not many candidates who can serve as 7 warlords of the sea. Because pirates of this level are not only rare on the sea, but they are also very rare. Statistics from the Warring States period, there are 4 candidates. One is the leader Green Pepper. This is a great pirate with a bounty of 500 million, and a strong man of the same generation as Garp. Although he is semi-retired, he is fully qualified. Then there is White Horse, Cavendish. This is Pirate Supernova from the same period as Fire Fist Ace. Now he definitely has the ability to serve as 7 warlords of the sea. The last 2 are Vicious Ape, Yong Hao, and Straw Hat Boy, Luffy. There is no need to mention the Vicious Ape Yong Hao, he is the Pirate Supernova of this generation. As for Luffy, although he has not been rated as a Pirate Supernova due to time constraints, since he can defeat Crocodile, the 7 warlords of the sea, he naturally has the qualifications to serve as the 7 warlords of the sea. But soon, Luffy and Yong Hao were eliminated. Luffy was defeated by Crocodile because of him. This fact was covered up by them. Luffy had no corresponding record and suddenly became the 7 warlords of the sea, but there was no way to convince the public. As for Yong Hao, he can barely convince the public, but now there is news that he will join the Big Mom Pirates. It would have been okay if Yong Hao was still in Don Quixote, but now that he has become a member of the 4 emperors, it is naturally impossible for Marine to invite him to become the 7 warlords of the sea. After all, the most important purpose of establishing 7 warlords of the sea is to fight against the 4 emperors. It is naturally inappropriate to recruit people from the 4 emperors group to serve as 7 warlords of the sea. So in the end, only the leaders Qingzhou and Cavendish were left. Of course, whether it can be done or not depends on sending someone to contact him. After discussing this matter, everyone's topic suddenly focused on Yong Hao. Momoshage couldn't help but asked in confusion, Sengoku Fleet Admiral, 4 Emperor's Aunt, why did you suddenly recruit Yong Hao? After hearing this, all the generals became interested. They have always paid close attention to the developments of 4 emperors. So Auntie held another tea party, and the theme of this tea party was marriage, which could not be hidden from them. After learning that the protagonist of the wedding was Yong Hao, they were all shocked. Especially Momoshage. It can be said that she witnessed Yong Hao's promotion path with her own eyes. He was originally just an unknown member of West Blue, but overnight, he wiped out the 5 major West Blue gang families and became a famous pirate supernova. This pirate supernova had just entered the Grand Line and joined the 7 warlords of the sea. And now, just how long has passed, he has joined the 4 emperors group. Although he didn't become the boss, his promotion speed was very amazing. It is no exaggeration to say that he has achieved great success. However, the Warring States period could not tell a reason for this. I can only pay attention to the situation as much as possible. At the end of the meeting, Momoshage once again volunteered to go to Wanguo for surveillance. Chapter 158 Gathering at the Tea Party, Yong Hao made a sudden request. The country of peace, Brother Jin, Brother Jin. A chubby man who looked like a giant ball, with a mustache and braids, suddenly rushed up shouting. This man is none other than one of the 3 plagues of the beast pirates, Plague Quinn. Seeing Quinn's reckless look, Jin frowned. What's wrong? Quinn stopped his roaring footsteps and said to Jin in a panic, Brother Jin, Boss Kaido is missing again. Hearing this, Jin became surprised. Is there any problem? You know, their boss often goes out alone. Sometimes I go out to relax and have fun, sometimes I run out drunk. Otherwise, how could the powerful 4 emperors gain the reputation of being the strongest in single combat? As for Kaido's safety, there is no need to worry. With the blue dragon fruit, he can almost say that he will never die no matter how he wanders. After hearing this, Quinn calmed down a lot, but then he still said, it's a little strange that Boss Kaido didn't see me this time. He said he was going to have a banquet 2 days ago, but after receiving a phone call, he quickly disappeared. What? Hearing Quinn's words, Jin was a little surprised. Obviously, Kaido's outing this time was not simple. Where has he gone? 10,000 Kingdoms, Cake Island. A giant dragon that is thousands of meters long is entrenched 10,000 meters in the sky. This giant dragon is undoubtedly the 4 emperors, Kaido of the 100 Beasts. Looking at the Cake Island below, Kaido's eyes lit up. As Quinn said, this time he left Wano country because he received a phone call. That call came from Dressrosa, it was Violet calling. During the phone call, Violet told Kaido about the magical thing like the blue ball in detail. Kaido was naturally interested, and I'm very interested. There is no other way to say that the force that can maximize the effect of the blue wave ball is undoubtedly the Beast Pirates. Even excluding those with artificial devil fruit abilities, the Beast's pirates have the most animal fruit ability users among the pirate forces. You can imagine how much the blue wave ball improved them. If you don't know about the existence of blue wave ball, forget it. Now that he knows, Kaido will certainly not turn a blind eye. In particular, this blue wave ball was actually developed by an animal-type fruit ability user. In an instant, Kaido also had a strong desire to recruit Yong Hao. But then, he also found out that Yong Hao, who had developed the blue wave ball, was not only Doflamingo's subordinate, but he was also about to be recruited by the aunt to be her son-in-law. Kaido would naturally not allow such a situation. So he hurriedly arrived here before the tea party started. After arriving here, Kaido was not in a hurry to go down. The tea party has not started yet, but when the tea party officially starts, Yong Hao will definitely appear. Thinking like this, Kaido controlled Xiangyun and lurked quietly in the sky. But then, before the tea party started, Marine arrived first. Kaido suddenly opened his dragon eyes and looked in a certain direction. On the sea in that direction, a medium-sized warship came riding the wind and waves. People from Marine? Kaido murmured and ignored him. It's normal for Marine to appear at Auntie's tea party. This has nothing to do with him. This time, his target is just Yong Hao. Of course, Kaido also knows that it is not easy to take away Yong Hao. When the time comes, there will definitely be a fierce battle with the old woman. Marine's existence will also have a certain impact on him. Fortunately, if it wasn't General Marine, then there shouldn't be much of a problem. At this time, the Marine who appeared near Wangguo was naturally one of the Marine general candidates, Momoshage. Logically speaking, General Marine should be dispatched for a 4 Emperors level mission. But Auntie's tea party was relatively leisurely, so as a candidate for general, there was nothing wrong with her taking the initiative to invite her. After arriving here, Momoshage did not rush into Wangguo, but began to contact Marine's spy in Wangguo and began to monitor the situation inside. In fact, in Momoshage's opinion, the danger of this mission is not great. After all, Auntie had no reason to take action. As long as the 4 Emperors don't take action, the situation will naturally be less serious. So this tea party was, at most, a little more lively than before. But what Momoshage didn't expect was that as she approached Wangguo, a faint uneasiness arose in her heart. It was as if it was a sign that something would happen to Auntie's tea party this time. Upon thinking of this, Momoshage immediately ordered his men to enter a state of combat readiness. In fact, this time the mission is related to the 4 Emperors. Even if they are more cautious, it is not an exaggeration. After all, the success of tea parties in the past does not mean that the tea party will go smoothly this time. So it's best for them to make some preparations. All in all, you never go too far wrong. Haha, Momoshage. In a certain room on the Cake Island, Yong Hao was dressing up when a smile suddenly appeared on his lips. To say who knows the next plot best, it is undoubtedly him. After the simulation, he was equivalent to seeing a future that was much further than Katakuri. So at this time, Yong Hao not only knew that the giant dragon was staring at him at an altitude of 10,000 meters, but he also knew that Momoshage and others were also nearby. But again, without General Marine, Momoshage and others would not have much influence. So Yong Hao ignored it and quietly cooperated with the development of the plot. After a while, like Ace, Yong Hao, who was used to Chiluo's upper body, put on a fitted and close-fitting suit. Standing in front of the floor-length mirror, you look handsome and handsome. Especially the strong aura of confidence adds a bit of charm to Yong Hao. Who is this handsome guy? Yong Hao was in a good mood and showed a rare moment of narcissism. Okay, Katakuri, can you take me to meet my bride first? Dressed neatly, Yong Hao looked at Katakuri who was waiting next to him. Auntie really attaches great importance to Yong Hao. Not only did Katakuri be sent to pick him up, but Katakuri was even asked to stay by Yong Hao's side throughout the entire process. Facing this perfect man who was inferior to one person in the world and superior to 10,000 people, Yong Hao was not very reserved and instead suddenly made a request to him. Katakuri was startled when he heard this. Yong Hao laughed. It's nothing, I just want to see my bride first to see what she looks like and what her personality is like. I can't be shocked on stage when the time comes, and I don't even know her name, right? Hearing this, Kotaku pondered for a moment and finally nodded. Yong Hao's request was reasonable and not excessive. He didn't have any good reason to stop it, so he simply discussed it with his boss and took Yong Hao to meet Pudding. Yong Hao followed, with a meaningful smile on his handsome face. Chapter 159 Memory Fruit Power User Pudding. This is Pudding's room, let's go in. Katakuri brought Yong Hao to a room, entered it first, and then came out and spoke to Yong Hao. With that said, he was about to take Yong Hao in. But at this moment, Yong Hao grabbed Katakuri. Haha, brother Katakuri, can you let me have a few words with Pudding alone? Hearing this, Katakuri was startled. He didn't expect Yong Hao to have such delicate thoughts. In fact, this is not Yong Hao's delicate mind, but a way he found to conquer Pudding. That's right, Yong Hao came here specially before the wedding because he planned to take down Pudding. As I said before, Pudding's fruit ability is also very powerful. If used properly, it can definitely come in handy. But in the previous simulation, Yong Hao had no chance to conquer Pudding. All because at the critical moment, Baby -5 will come out to steal the marriage. And even if there is no BABY5, there is still Kaido. If Kaido wants to recruit him, naturally he can't just watch him and Pudding get married smoothly. Because that would anger Auntie even more and make it more difficult for her to take Yong Hao away. So Yong Hao later simulated it several times, but found that he could not successfully complete the wedding. So I thought of this method. It's this moment. See you in advance, Pudding. It's not difficult to do this, just ask. So there was the current scene. However, when conquering Pudding, it was naturally not suitable for Katakuri to see him, so Yong Hao found another excuse. Naturally, Katakuri couldn't refuse this argument. Although the aunt didn't really want to recruit Yong Hao as her son-in-law, she still had to do her best on the surface. Now that Yong Hao is just meeting his future wife, what reason does he have to stop her? As a result, Kao pondered for a few seconds before nodding. Of course, his domineering aura of knowledge always enveloped the room, and he even predicted a certain future. Under such circumstances, Katakuri was not worried that Yong Hao would do anything outrageous. In this way, Yong Hao was able to enter Pudding's room. As soon as I walked in, I saw a woman wearing a white wedding dress. Head lowered, wearing a veil. Hello, are you Charlotte Pudding? I am your future husband, Yong Hao. He responded in a low voice, and Pudding's delicate body trembled slightly. This time, it is different from marrying Sanji in the original work. She does not need to kill Yong Hao, but needs to maintain a certain close relationship with Yong Hao. So in Pudding's opinion, there is no doubt that Yong Hao is her husband. However, when he thought of his own shortcomings, Pudding's head dropped even lower. Inferiority, irritability, restlessness. To be honest, Pudding also has a tendency to have a dual personality. It was actually her three-eyed appearance that left so many shadows on her psychology that it was almost distorted. Keep your head up. At this moment, Yong Hao's voice came. Two blushes suddenly appeared on Pudding's face. Then, she slowly raised her cute little head. You are indeed as beautiful as the rumors say, Yong Hao deliberately marveled. He knew that Pudding was a child who longed for care and love. As long as you give her recognition and praise, you can easily capture her heart. This level of difficulty is similar to that of strategy BABY5. Sure enough, after hearing Yong Hao's words, Pudding became obviously shy. Where? How can there be? In an instant, her affection for Yong Hao increased greatly. Yong Hao immediately struck while the iron was hot and said, Can I lift the veil and see you? Ah, this won't work, it won't work. Pudding was immediately shocked and shook his head in panic. But the movement was so big that the white veil on her head slipped directly off. Pudding was stunned. As the veil slipped, her pretty face was completely revealed. Even the eyes on the head suddenly opened, but it was filled with panic. Yong Hao took a look, showing a look of shock. Pudding's face suddenly turned ugly. The originally cute face became a bit ferocious. The memories of being bullied and ridiculed by others in the past came flooding back. Pudding quickly picked up the veil and covered his head, but his face became extremely gloomy. Damn it, you can't see me like this. Pudding has very low self-esteem and is afraid of being regarded as a monster by others. And Yong Hao is not an ordinary person. If she is disliked by him, she will not be able to explain it to her aunt. Yong Hao's smiling face suddenly became dazzling in her eyes, and she couldn't look straight at it. Don't cry, today is a good day for our wedding. At this moment, Pudding reached out and touched Yong Hao's head, activating the memory fruit ability in his body. Pudding burst into tears, and Yong Hao's handsome face suddenly turned into a profound memory that stayed in her heart. The strong excitement suddenly turned into hot tears, which accumulated and fell in her eyes. And you have 3 eyes. You are so beautiful, I have never seen a woman as beautiful as you. Thinking like this, Yong Hao did not forget to comfort him, and then staged a slap on the head to kill Pudding. Yong Hao's voice was full of exclamation. 3 eyes shed tears at the same time. Pudding's cute face became ferocious and terrifying. Unknowingly, Pudding was embraced by Yong Hao. This shows how much injustice Pudding has suffered since he was a child. But at this moment, Yong Hao's voice suddenly sounded. Feeling the warm and fragrant nephrite in his arms, Yong Hao couldn't help but sigh. This was the first time someone praised her third eye. Pudding wiped away a handful of tears, but they shed more and more, and her voice became choked. She planned to erase Yong Hao's memory of seeing her 3 times just now, and that would be enough. Damn it, so beautiful. Just do the questions after you know the answers, it's that simple. You will be my wife from now on, and I will take good care of you. Although he had already experienced it in the simulation, he was still a little surprised to see Pudding react so violently in reality. Pudding, you are so beautiful. Such an intimate gesture immediately made Pudding's cheeks turn red. At this moment, there was a bang, and her mind went blank. But she was not without remedies. This is the first time someone has complimented me on my beautiful eyes. Pudding was completely stunned. Originally, I said that my aunt was unkind and forcibly captured me as my wife. I didn't expect that she was so kind and would marry such a beautiful daughter to me. I am so lucky to be able to marry such a beautiful wife. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Don't cry, such beautiful eyes are not meant for crying. Then, Pudding completely fell into Yong Hao's sweet words. Pudding action. When Yong Hao saw this, he was smiling, but his eyes were full of surprise. Chapter 160. The tea party lineup and the wedding ceremony are officially staged. How is it? Who is participating? In the waters near Wangwo, Momoshage contacted the informant with a serious face. Again, there is no small matter in 4 emperors. When they came here, the first thing they wanted to do was monitor the situation inside. Before that, it is natural to know the participants of the tea party. Soon, Momoshage's face turned serious. Big news, Morgans. The king of loan sharks. Even the CPO sent someone to attend. There is no doubt that those who come are all heavyweights. Not to say that he controls the wind and rain on the Grand Line, but at least he has a lot of influence. Especially Morgans, this guy controls public opinion. Every piece of news from him can change the world. Continue to monitor. With this thought in mind, Momoshage immediately gave serious instructions. There was a reply from the phone bug, and then it fell silent. But soon, Momoshage received another message that the tea party was about to start. The tea party has begun. The huge venue is very luxurious and spectacular. Sitting in a corner of the venue were several people, including Doflamingo, Diamante, Cesar Current and Monet. Looking at the luxurious scene, Caesar Coulong couldn't help but ask Doflamingo, "Joker, do you really want Yong Hao to get married?" Even now, Caesar Current is still a little reluctant to let go of Yong Hao. After all, he and Yong Hao get along very well, especially research. If it weren't for Yong Hao, he might still be stuck where he was before, and he wouldn't have the repeated breakthroughs he has now. And the most important thing is that almost all the research funds are in Yong Hao's hands. If Yong Hao joins the Big Mom Pirates like this, his research will not stop immediately, but he will definitely become financially strapped. Doflamingo naturally knew this, but there was nothing he could do against Yong Hao. Because Yong Hao is about to join the Charlotte family, he can't still hold him hostage, right? So he simply pretended not to hear Caesar Current's questions. But his expression was always gloomy, and the other side. But there was a burst of laughter. Morgans, the king of loan sharks, and the CPO people had a great chat. This is normal, they all come to the tea party as Ant's friends. Whether Yong Hao Ji gets married or joins the Charlotte family has no impact on them at all. On the contrary, this is a good thing for the Morgans among them. Because the tea party itself is good news, and if a pirate supernova is added to the marriage, the attention will naturally be even higher. The only regret is that the tea party is a cliché in the news. Even with Yong Hao's fame, it cannot reach the level of big news that he is passionate about. Just as Morgans was thinking this, the venue suddenly fell silent. A bloated figure appeared at the entrance. Wearing a captain's hat and a pink Moderadot dress, she exudes a terrifying aura. It is none other than one of the 4 emperors, Auntie. Morgans stood up quickly, as did the CPO king, the king of loan sharks. Doflamingo and others, no matter how dissatisfied they were, stood up to welcome him. This is respect for the Emperor of the Sea, Mother. Linlin, you're here, haha, Linlin, you are so powerful again. The quiet venue soon became noisy, and everyone greeted the ant one after another. The ant walked in with a smile on her face and sat down on the main seat without saying any polite words. To this, no one was surprised either. This crazy woman would be great if she wasn't crazy. Almost as soon as Big Mom came on stage, Momoshage also received the message and his pretty face condensed. Kaido, who was 10,000 meters high in the air and was vaguely aware of the situation, smiled. Linlin, it's been a long time since I last saw you, just when Kaido smiled. The ant at the tea party, her original smile suddenly faltered. She raised her head suddenly and looked at the sky suspiciously. Seeing the ant's unusual behavior, Morgans and others were startled. What's wrong, Linlin? But at this moment, the ant had already withdrew her gaze. Fine. Auntie shook her head. At that moment, she sensed something. But after sweeping away the domineering look, he found nothing unusual. So she ignored it and smiled again. Okay, now let's invite a new couple to come out. After hearing what the ant said, the ministers did not dare to neglect, and hurriedly brought out a man and a woman under the leadership of Katakuri. The man is wearing a suit and looks tall and straight. The woman is wearing a white wedding dress, cute and delicate. There is no doubt that it is Yong Hao and Pudding. Yong Hao. Seeing Yong Hao, Caesar Current couldn't help but be a little excited. Doflamingo's face darkened. As for Diamante and Monet, they have different expressions. Well, this is the ferocious ape. He doesn't look fierce at all, but he looks very talented. In terms of appearance, Cavendish is nothing more than that, right? Linlin, if you find a good son-in-law, the children you will give birth to will definitely be handsome and strong. Morgans and others started to flatter the ant. Well. The ant smiled happily. She didn't care what Yong Hao looked like. What she cares about is Yong Hao's talent. It is whether Yong Hao can strengthen the Charlotte family. At present, it seems that Yong Hao definitely has this talent. He is the successful experimental subject of human body enlargement. With further training in the future, it is very likely that she will master the successful human body enlargement technology. Let the wedding begin. The more the ant thought about it, the happier she became and immediately gave another order. Katakuri nodded and calmly organized himself. Of course, it was the priest who presided over the ceremony. After the announcement, the priest asked the people present with a smile, Is there anyone who objects to the marriage of this new couple? The ant was smiling, and everyone remained silent in tacit agreement. Naturally, no one dares to object to this wedding. But at this moment, a shout sounded. I object. Immediately afterwards, a beautiful figure, also wearing a white wedding dress, ran over. Doflamingo, Diamante, Monet, Cesar Current and others were immediately stunned. BABY5. Looking at baby -5 running towards me. Yong Hao's smiling face suddenly became more smiley. Naturally, he was not surprised by the appearance of BABY5. He even knows where baby -5 came from. This silly girl had contacted Buffalo very early and begged him to fly her over. Otherwise, with baby 5's abilities, it would be difficult to even come to Wanguo, let alone break into the tea party. But how to say it, this woman is absolutely courageous. The corner of Yong Hao's mouth raised with a hint of joy. However, facing this stage of marriage robbery, the ant and others' faces became gloomy. The atmosphere at the scene suddenly condensed. Chapter 161. The two emperors meet and split the sky. At the tea party, the atmosphere suddenly became stagnant. Morgan suddenly stood up from his seat, his eyes widened with intense shock. Wedding robbery. I never expected that someone would come here to steal a marriage. This is a tea party. This tea party, the four emperors' aunt is organizing a wedding for her daughter. Who dares to steal such a marriage? After the extreme shock, Morgans felt a strong sense of joy in her heart. This unexpected scene seemed to elevate the tea party to the level of big news. This is big news. Morgan's eyes lit up little by little. The expressions of the aunt and others instantly darkened. Katakuri also looked ugly and immediately shouted, "Stop her." Immediately, members of the nearby Big Mom pirates and some ministers intercepted BABY5. However, Baby 5, who transformed into a charging warrior, seemed to have received a buff bonus. After a few explosions, he broke through the interception and came straight towards Yong Hao. But soon, an iron tower stood in front of her. Katakuri's 6-meter-tall figure became an insurmountable gap for BABY5. With Katakuri's power, it would be no problem to kill Baby -5 instantly. But he didn't do this entirely because he recognized Baby 5's identity. This is Yong Hao's woman, and she is also a cadre under Doflamingo. At this moment, he was waiting for the reaction of Yong Hao or Doflamingo. It's just that Doflamingo doesn't respond. Even though veins were showing on his forehead, Doflamingo still didn't move. Diamante next to her was secretly anxious, but it also depended on what Doflamingo meant. After all, Baby 5's actions are too rebellious right now. If one thing is not handled well, Don Quixote will also suffer disaster, and may even be beyond redemption. The seriousness of the situation exceeded Doflamingo's expectation. Stealing a marriage in front of an ant is worse than rejecting her request for marriage. For a moment, Doflamingo didn't know what to do. No, he should have known better, so he remained motionless. After all, the current situation is actually not much different from Yong Hao's marriage. Sacrificing one person can save the family. This choice is easy to make, right? Another vein appeared on Doflamingo's forehead. As for Yong Hao, why he didn't take action was naturally because he didn't have the need to take action. According to the original development, after seeing Doflamingo's indifference, Katakuri understood the opponent's choice, and then completely killed BABY5. At that time, Yong Hao will take action to stop it. But later, Yong Hao discovered that even if he didn't take action, Baby -5 would be fine. Just like this moment. Seeing Doflamingo just looking at the scene with a sullen face, Katakuri understood in his heart, and glutinous balls immediately surged on his body. With the difference in strength between him and BABY5, he can easily kill Baby -5 with just one blow. But just when Katakuri was about to take action, something unexpected happened. A huge shadow suddenly cast down. The terrifying pressure swept the entire place instantly. Katakuri's eyes flashed red, he stopped moving instantly, and looked up at the sky in shock. Immediately afterwards, it was the ant, the gloom on her face disappeared, and she also looked up in shock. Then everyone present, one by one, all looked towards the sky. What is that? I saw that the high sky was filled with clouds and mist at some point. And among the clouds and mist, a huge dragon shadow emerged clearly. This. Morgan suddenly stood up from his seat, a fanatical light flashing in his eyes. This is not big news, but extremely big news. At this moment, the ant's angry shouting sounded. Kaido. What are you doing here? As soon as these words came out, the whole audience was shocked. Kaido, one of the four emperors. In fact, most of the people present had their guesses the moment they saw the dragon shadow. After all, those who can attend the tea party have a high status and are familiar with Kaido. As for the people of the Big Mom pirates, it goes without saying. But now they were shocked when they heard the ant shout it out from her own mouth. Kaido's reputation is even worse than that of Big Mom. The strongest one-on-one, the strongest creature on land, sea and air, and 100 beasts. Every name makes people tremble with fear, and in terms of performance, Kaido is much more terrifying than Big Mom. Such a being actually came here. Suddenly, an earth-shaking loud noise came. The original anger of Doflamingo, the leader, was replaced by a trace of fear. But if it is a real war, how much gain will they achieve after they send generals to the scene after it is over? I saw red thunder flashing in the sky in the direction of Wanguo, and the thick clouds and mist on the head of Cake Island actually split apart. But if there is a conflict, it may not be a huge opportunity for them. But now, will the arrival of Kaido muddy the waters? Sure enough. Warring States Fleet Admiral quickly dispatched the fastest Kizaru and rushed over to provide support. Will Kaido's appearance bring about a turning point for him? 4 emperors has already made their marine nervous. Thinking about it, Momoshage was a little excited. Momoshage was startled, then looked around and saw a horrifying scene. Almost at the same time, Momoshage quickly ordered the informant over there, and then quickly notified Sengoku Fleet Admiral. Momoshage in the waters near Wanguo also received the message, and his beautiful eyes widened. His subordinate marine exclaimed, "Look over there." What's the reason? Let's find out quickly. If the two emperors meet and form an alliance, it will definitely be a very bad message for their marines. This will be her great achievement as a general in the future. Kaido, why did he come here? Even if you really fight against Big Mom for BABY5, it will only increase casualties and be in vain. The news was reported to Marine headquarters, and it immediately caused a flurry of excitement. But soon, Heavenly Yaksha's heart moved again. A great opportunity to eliminate the 4 emperors. Thinking like this, Doflamingo felt a little more hopeful. Just imagine, if the 2 emperors were fighting, it would be nothing more than a slight exchange of ideas. What? Kaido showed up at the tea party. Doflamingo and others were also frightened. If she can really catch a 4 emperors or even destroy a 4 emperors force, even as a deputy general, she will get great credit. Damn. Of course, it was said to be support, but Momoshage knew that there was a deeper purpose. When the 2 emperors meet, even the sky will split. And just when Momoshage was thinking about it, he can't save BABY5. Now the 4 emperors suddenly met, and they couldn't help but ignore it. Chapter 162. Battle of 4 Emperors. Did you ask me for my opinion? Rumble. Tea party scene. Everyone's expressions changed drastically. In the clouds and mist, a head like a hill suddenly popped out. The terrifying momentum turned into red lightning and fell from the sky. Not to be outdone, Auntie suddenly burst out with Conqueror's domineering aura and soared into the sky. The 2 terrifying momentums collided, causing the earth to collapse in an instant. In the sky, the clouds and mist split, and on the earth, a terrifying hurricane also blew up. This is Conqueror's collision. It's so scary, stay away. Everyone was shocked. At the tea party, everyone fled frantically. Only Katakuri, Doflamingo, and a few others could withstand the confrontation between the 2 emperors unscathed. Even Pudding and Baby-5 couldn't stand it and fell into a coma. But just before they fell, Yong Hao suddenly hugged them and put them into the castle earrings. Seeing Yong Hao's nonchalant behavior, Katakuri had a strange look on his face. But right now, he didn't delve into it, but looked up at Kaido. There is no doubt about it, the current protagonist has become Kaido. The giant dragon in the sky suddenly swooped down. The momentum of the 2 stalemates could no longer be maintained and suddenly exploded. In the hurricane all over the ground, the giant dragon shrank, turned into a terrifying strong man, and fell down. Although the body size has shrunk, the terrifying aura has become stronger, making people breathless. The Big Mom pirates, as well as the entire Charlotte family, are all facing a formidable enemy. Even Katakuri is no exception. Only the ant's face was full of unkindness and anger. Kaido, what do you mean? Doflamingo secretly expected. Morgan Say and others had different expressions. But the Morgans among them were already excited and secretly filming. Big news. Definitely big news. Now that Kaido is here, no matter what his purpose is, it can be a big news. Compared to Big Mom's anger, Kaido is much calmer. He looked around the scene and saw Yong Hao dressed in a suit and leather shoes, dressed as a groom, and the corner of his mouth suddenly curled up. Then he looked at the ant, Shirin said, "Why, Lin, we are all old friends. Can't you have a party and I come to ask for a drink?" The ant's eyes widened and her face became horrified. Begging for a drink? She repeated it, but her expression did not soften at all. She knew very well what kind of person Kaido was. This guy was not as tall and thick as he seemed on the surface, with big muscles and no brains. On the contrary, the other party is brave, resourceful, cunning. Otherwise, as an intern of the Rock's pirates, she would not have succeeded in catching up with her and Whitebeard. Strictly speaking, the red-haired Shanks is the youngest of the 4 emperors, but his rise is not much faster than Kaido. These 2 people were both interns in a large group and took off directly from behind. But in comparison, the ant is more willing to deal with red hair. It's all because Kaido is too shady, so if he comes here this time, nothing good will happen. Thinking of this, the ant gritted her teeth and said, "Kaido, don't pretend to be here with me, you stupid dragon, go back to where you came from. Otherwise, then you can stay forever." Everyone was shocked when they heard these words. "Both sides are full of gunpowder, haha, since you don't welcome me, I'll just leave, but when I leave, I have to take someone with me." Kaido agreed to what Big Mom said, but in the end, he put forward his own conditions. The ant frowned, but she was not too surprised. If there was no purpose, Kaido would not come all the way from Wano country. But his purpose is to take someone away? Who to take? Katakuri and others were also confused. Doflamingo frowned. This was not a situation he wanted to see. It would be best if Big Mom and Kaido fight directly. But what's going on now? Why is there a tendency to make peace? In fact, Ant actually didn't want to fight Kaido if it wasn't necessary. The health bar of this blood cow is really too thick, and often it can only hurt the opponent even after several days of fighting. It is simply a thankless task. So if Kaido just asks for someone who doesn't matter, even if the other person is not a face fruit user, Big Mom will give him a little face. However, who did the other party come here for? Could it be that their Big Mom pirates offended their beasts pirates without knowing it? Morgans and others are also very curious about this. Kaido came here specially and even had a conflict with Big Mom. Who was it for? The next moment, the mystery is revealed. Kaido's eyes fell on Yong Hao. This little brother is very popular with me, let him come with me. After Kaido finished speaking, the whole place fell into silence. You can hear the needle drop. Doflamingo, Caesar Current and others were all stunned. Only Violet's beautiful eyes flashed with joy. Her plan succeeded. Kaido actually came to the tea party and asked for Yong Hao. In this way, the conflict between him and Auntie is almost inevitable. And the best part is, no matter who wins or loses, these two people will most likely cause trouble for Doflamingo in the end. And what happened next seemed to confirm Violet's thoughts. The entire Big Mom pirate group, as well as the Charlotte family, all looked gloomy. Especially the ant, anger gradually climbed up her face. Are you here for Yong Hao? If it were an ordinary person, the ant might really turn a blind eye. But not Yong Hao. This is an important figure in the human body enlargement experiment. And even if there was no such reason, Kaido would not be able to take away the other person's identity as Pudding's husband today. All in all, absolutely not. The nature of Kaido's request for Yong Hao was even more serious than that of BABY5, so much so that the ant's face began to become distorted. "Hole! You are here to cause trouble, aren't you?" Auntie suddenly roared wildly, the strange sound started, and the surrounding area was like a hurricane again. Morgans and others were shocked and quickly retreated. If Conqueror's collision happened before, there is still room for redemption. So now, it is absolutely impossible. The Battle of Four Emperors is about to break out. For fear of being affected, almost everyone tried their best to stay away. Lin, you have to give to this person today, even if you don't. Otherwise, Laozi wouldn't mind blowing up your 10,000 kingdoms. Facing Big Mom's anger, Kaido responded arrogantly. The mace in his hand began to flash with thunder and lightning. The ant directly took off the hat on her head and turned it into a big sword. Hole, if you have the ability, come and give it a try. The two were about to fight, but at this moment, an inappropriate voice sounded. Well, wait a minute, it seems you haven't asked my opinion yet. Kaido and Auntie were both startled. They looked subconsciously and realized that the person who made the sound was Yong Hao. Chapter 163 The Fourth Disaster, Disaster Yong Hao. Well, wait a minute, it seems you haven't asked my opinion yet. Yong Hao suddenly spoke up, attracting everyone's attention. Kaido and Big Mom were both stunned. Katakuri and Doflamingo were also stunned. Caesar Current was stunned for a while. Yong Hao, this little brother, is so brave. When most people encounter this situation, they hide as far away as possible, fearing that they will be noticed. He's so nice that he takes the initiative to speak. At this moment, Caesar Current was sweating coldly for Yong Hao. However, facing the gazes of the four emperors, Yong Hao smiled calmly. Why, I am the person involved, shouldn't you ask me for my opinion? Then Yong Hao looked at Kaido and said, Hey, you are Kaido of the Beasts. If you want me to join your pirate group, you must give me some benefits, right? Benefit. Everyone looked strange. Kaido was stunned for a moment, but then he laughed. Of course, from now on you will be the fourth disaster under my command. Your nickname is Fierce Ape, so how about I call you the Evil Disaster? The fourth disaster of the Beast Pirates, Disaster Yong Hao. In Kaido's opinion, this is already a supreme honor. After all, judging from Yong Hao's current bounty, even joining the Lincoln Six Sons is a bit reluctant. Now that he has become one of the biggest posters of the Beast's pirates, it is definitely a huge compliment. After hearing this, everyone's expressions also change. The fourth disaster? Disastrous Yong Hao? This? I have to say that Kaido really values Yong Hao. You know, Yong Hao joined the Charlotte family only as a son-in-law. Not even an official member of the Big Mom Pirates. And now Kaido has directly designated him as the leader of the Beast Pirates. This is equivalent to being a general of the Big Mom Pirates. It is no exaggeration to say that he is inferior to one person and superior to 10,000 people. Realizing this, even Doflamingo was stunned. If Yong Hao really becomes the fourth disaster of the Beast Pirates, he will probably be overwhelmed by Yong Hao in the future. After all, to a certain extent, they, Don Quixote, are all affiliated with the Beast's pirates. Doflamingo, the sixth son of Lincoln, may not give face, but in the face of disaster, he really has to bow his head. The ant's face suddenly became ugly. She also felt that Kaido's solicitation was too much. But at this moment, Yang Hao shook his head. Disaster, this title is not bad, but it is not what I want. He glanced at Big Mom, then smiled at Kaido. Big Mom invited me to join, but she gave me 500 million belly, how much can you give me? At this moment, Yang Hao chose to hit the ball straight. And this was actually the reason why he spoke in time. Otherwise, when Kaido and Big Mom fight, it will be difficult for him to raise conditions. Of course, as a big sign, the salary should not be low, but Yang Hao is not satisfied with the salary. If you want him to change jobs, of course you have to give him a price that satisfies him. After hearing Yang Hao's words, Kaido immediately grinned. So that's it, then I'll double it to you, 1 billion. He responded to Yang Hao generously. It's no wonder that the 4 emperors are all big businesses. Except for Whitebeard, who is special, the rest of the 4 emperors have 1 billion or 80 billion, which is not a problem. Of course, 1 billion and 800 million is not a small number for Kaido. But for the blue wave ball, it is still worth the money. Hearing this, Yang Hao suddenly smiled. The people around were all stunned. Yang Hao actually dared to negotiate conditions with Kaido, and he succeeded. Damn it. Doflamingo's face was as dark as water, with veins showing on his forehead. At this moment, he suddenly reacted. The reason why Kaido asked for Yang Hao was probably for the blue wave ball. Absolutely right. If we say that he was made a big sign before, it can be said that he is optimistic about his potential. But now giving another billion is definitely not as simple as looking at the potential. There is no other reason other than blue wave ball. Damn it, Kaido actually knows about the existence of blue wave ball. Doflamingo gritted his teeth and his heart suddenly sank to the bottom. Now that Kaido knows about the existence of the blue wave ball, his idea of using the blue wave ball to narrow the strength gap between the two sides will come to nothing. Even if he wants to cultivate a group of animal fruit ability users in the future, they will definitely not be able to compare with Kaido. Because the entire beast pirates are all users with animal fruit abilities. Especially Kaido, he is a fantasy beast. The amplification effect of the blue wave ball on him is definitely much stronger than that of ordinary animal-type fruit ability users. All in all, the blue wave project failed. The worst thing is that Kaido may cause trouble for their Don Quixote in the future. The more Doflamingo thought about it, the more he realized something was wrong, and his face became extremely ugly. The one with the same ugly face was the ant. Seeing Kaido and Yang Hao reach a consensus, her face gradually became distorted. Do these two guys treat her as if she doesn't exist? Hearing this, the ant was startled. This is a warrior. Only Yang Hao shook his head lightly and then came behind Kaido. But my heart is actually for the Big Mom pirates. I don't want to leave Pudding behind. How about Big Mom, you and Kaido make a bid. Whoever pays more will go with me. How about that? For her who is easily irritable, Yang Hao's offer of conditions to Kaido has already offended her, and there is no room for peace talks at all. Boss Kaido, it's your turn. The strange sound then rolled out, and the surrounding ground cracked. He suddenly had some doubts about whether his decision to recruit Yang Hao, the sixth man, was the right one. Facing the 4 emperors, it's okay if you don't tremble, but you still dare to wait for the price and be arrogant. Boom. Whoever gives more money will follow. There was a loud noise, and the battle of 4 emperors was fully staged. Katakuri, Doflamingo, Caesar Current and others were also burned on the outside and tender on the inside. Auntie's body was like a volcano brewing, about to erupt. However, judging from the results of multiple simulations, following Kaido is the most rewarding. Kaido also looked strange. Boom. Hearing this, the ant was completely stunned. Caesar Kulong opened his mouth wide and looked at Yang Hao, but suddenly he felt more admiration. He had long known that Auntie would not be able to bid. As if to declare her anger, the terrifying conqueror's domineering force swept out in a violent manner. Auntie, I know you are in a hurry, but don't be anxious yet, listen to me. The hurricane suddenly broke out, and most people were shocked. Yang Hao. Not only will he get 1 billion, but he won't have to pay back the ant's 500 million, it's not too beautiful. But at this moment, Yang Hao's voice sounded again. Kaido has already offered me a price of 1 billion to win over me, this is really an irresistible price. At this moment, Ant's body surface flashed with red thunder. After hearing Yang Hao's words, Kaido's expression became even weirder. But when he thought of the blue wave ball, Kaido suddenly became firm again, waved his mace, and faced Big Mom. This kid even started bidding. Yang Hao was not surprised by the current situation. In fact, Yang Hao had no intention of playing tricks on Big Mom. For him, it didn't matter whether he joined Big Mom or Kaido. This female 4 emperors is completely angry, of course. Yang Hao is just trying again in reality. Anyway, even if he is rejected, it will not affect the final result. Chapter 164 Yang Hao's Amazing Strength, The Battle of the Emperor's Lieutenants begins. Boom. Big Mom wields the Emperor's sword. Kaido swung the mace in his hand. Before the weapons collided together, red thunder and lightning exploded with terrifying force. The aftermath of terror surge. Ba Tang. Yong Hao's eyes lit up when he saw this. It's obvious that both Kaido and Big Mom are serious about it. When it comes to interests and face, neither of them will be perfunctory. So at this time, they all used 4 Emperor's special skills. Domineering. If we say Conqueror's domineering power, it is just the qualification of a king. So Ba Tang is the king's standard equipment, in other words, it is the standard configuration of 4 emperors. There is no one among the current 4 emperors who is not domineering. Yong Hao has awakened Conqueror's domineering energy, and his next goal is naturally to learn to be domineering. Only in this way can he reach the combat power of the 4 emperors. Speaking of which, Katakuri and Doflamingo just suffered the disadvantage of not being domineering. Otherwise, they can also become a general-level combat force. Thinking like this, Yong Hao secretly watched the fight between Kaido and Big Mom. However, Auntie didn't let Yong Hao get what he wanted. After fighting hard with Kaido and retreating, he ordered Katakuri. Katakuri, kill that guy for me. Auntie is also self-aware. Kaido's strength, like his status, has already caught up with him. If he stopped him, he really wouldn't be able to deal with Yong Hao. But she wasn't worried, because this is her territory. The generals and ministers under her are not vegetarians. Even if there is only Katakuri, it is enough for Yong Hao to drink a pot. After hearing what the aunt said, Katakuri naturally didn't say anything and rushed straight towards Yong Hao. Yong Hao, are you crazy? Why are you backing us? Katakuri asked with a gloomy expression while rushing towards Yong Hao. To be honest, in fact, Katakuri also admired Yong Hao a little. Otherwise, he would not recommend Yong Hao to the aunt. But now, Yong Hao's behavior of agreeing to Kaido is undoubtedly their betrayal. Also, where did you hide Pudding? Hand her over. Of course, Katakuri has not forgotten the missing Pudding. Pudding is also very important to the Big Mom pirates. Both the ability to memorize fruits and the ability to interpret historical texts are very useful. When Yong Hao heard this, he immediately smiled. We did not betray you, because what I have always been loyal to is strength. No one will understand how insecure Yong Hao, a person who traveled from a peaceful country to the world of pirates, feels in his heart. Especially at the beginning, almost all of his simulations ended with death. Both his knowledge of the world and his experience made him understand that only power is everything. So now, he takes it for granted and feels at ease. Yong Hao did not violate his original intention. As for Pudding, she and I truly love each other and I will take her away. Yong Hao's answer clearly satisfied Katakuri with his power. He frowned, took out his trident and stabbed it out. In that case, I can only kill you. Nuotuan stabs. Katakuri's right hand suddenly turned into a high-speed rotating glutinous ball, wrapped around the trident, and stabbed fiercely towards Yong Hao with the help of the kinetic energy of rotation. The powerful armed color hockey followed closely behind, and its power increased sharply. Although he thought there was no need for so many people to besiege Yong Hao, Katakuri obviously had no intention of letting go. That terrifying power had already caused goosebumps to rise all over Yong Hao's body before it hit him. This is the body's warning to him. There is also a sense of domineering color and a dangerous inspiration. He is indeed the strongest general. Ape God Spear. Yong Hao was not too negligent. After muttering, the suit on his upper body was suddenly torn. All of a sudden, he turned into a 3-meter-tall ape. Although he looks small in front of the 6-meter-tall Katakuri, his fierce aura makes people dare not underestimate him. Almost at the same time, Yong Hao's right hand also violently clenched a fist and punched it out. At this moment, his arm suddenly swelled, and the blood flowed faster, forming the effect of an iron block, and filled with a dark color. Boom! Yong Hao's huge black iron fist struck Katakuri's trident. Katakuri's face suddenly turned pale. The next second, the wind surged, and something unexpected happened. Yong Hao's figure stood there. Instead, Katakuri paused with the trident in his hand and took 2 steps back. What? Katakuri's knee was repulsed. This. Cracker and other children next to him were shocked when they saw this. Although Katakuri is a paramecia, he is also famous for his strength. He never expected that in a head-on confrontation, Yong Hao would have the upper hand. Doflamingo and others were shocked when they saw this. They knew before that Yong Hao could go head-to-head with Katakuri when the monster was strengthened. But now, Yong Hao has clearly not entered into monster strengthening, and he is actually able to overwhelm Katakuri in frontal attacks. At the same time, Katakuri was naturally shocked. Because of the previous inspection, he was also very aware of Yong Hao's strength. The power shown by Yong Hao now is obviously stronger than when the monster was strengthened before. Of course, this may be due to the iron block and the domineering blessing of armed color. But in this, the opponent's power definitely plays a big role. What's going on? How come the opponent's strength has increased so much in such a short period of time? Could it be said that it is an experiment on human enlargement? Katakuri's heart moved and he made some guesses, and his guess was obviously right. With the complete power of a giant, even without transforming into a monster, the strength Yong Hao showed was naturally amazing. Coupled with the iron block, strengthened arms, and amplification of the weapon color, it is not surprising that Katakuri can be defeated head-on. Realizing this, Yong Hao was not in a hurry to strengthen the monster. He planned to try to see if he could defeat Katakuri using more conventional power. In fact, even though Yong Hao can completely control the monster enhancement, if possible, it is better to use less. This is because the after effects of strengthening the monster still exist. After using it, it will become weak. At the same time, using it will also consume some vitality. This kind of consumption is much greater than heart strengthening. Unknowingly, Yong Hao seemed to have followed Luffy's old path. Many moves require overdrafting the body, even to a large extent. But if you think about it carefully, this is inevitable. Physical training to cultivate the body, many times it is necessary to squeeze the body. This kind of oppression would be fine if it was done gradually. But if it is too intense, it will naturally cause damage to the body. In the later period, Baibeard's health collapsed, which may not be due to this reason. Of course, it is still a little early for Yong Hao to consider these things. Later, when his strength reaches the peak, it will not be too late to consider healthcare. Thinking of this, Yong Hao didn't say anything and immediately entered the heart-strengthening form. The next moment, with steam lingering all over his body, Yong Hao charged towards Katakuri with great momentum. Boom boom boom. While Kaido and Big Mom were fighting fiercely, the battle between Yong Hao and Katakuri also suddenly started. Chapter 165 The new star competes with the Emperor's deputy, and the second card has to fight in a one-on-one battle. Boom boom boom. Kaido and Big Mom fought fiercely, and the battle between Yong Hao and Katakuri also started completely. As Yong Hao entered the heart to strengthen, his strength doubled again. During the surge of strength, he actually suppressed Katakuri, the strongest deputy of the Emperor. Seeing this, Doflamingo and others were shocked, so strong. As this Yong Hao's true power, several people were a little stunned. You know, even Doflamingo can't get anything good from Katakuri. But now, Yong Hao and Katakuri were fighting vigorously and even suppressed each other. Does this mean that if Doflamingo fights Yong Hao, he will be at a disadvantage? Oh my god, realizing this, Caesar Current opened his mouth wide. When Katakuri came to Punk Hassad to take the test, he was already very shocked by the power of monsters displayed by Yong Hao. But he never thought that that was not Yong Hao's limit. This guy is hiding too deeply, isn't he? At the same time, others watching the battle were also shocked, for example Morgans. The image phone bug in his hand unknowingly transferred from Kaido and Big Mom's battle group to Yong Hao's side. To be honest, the two four emperors are at war, which is indeed big news. People also like to hear it, but now, Morgans discovered that the breaking point of the big news right now is Yong Hao, the pirate supernova. Judging from the current situation, Yong Hao is undoubtedly the trigger of this battle between four emperors. His attention is also there, but compared to the battle of four emperors, it is still a bit inferior. But now, Morgans suddenly discovered that compared to the battle of four emperors, Yong Hao received even more attention. Why? News, to put it bluntly, is actually novel information. The Tea Party, the battle of the four emperors, it's all like this. But compared to novelty, what else is more novel than the combat power Yong Hao is showing now? His combat power is comparable to that of Katakuri. In fact, generals, disasters, and 7 warlords of the sea can all be unified into the rank of emperor and deputy. Yong Hao became a pirate supernova. It has not even been a year, but he has reached the level of emperor and deputy. Such progress is really amazing. Coupled with the current background, Yong Hao is definitely the focus of this big news. Thinking of this, Morgan stopped filming Kaido and Big Mom, and instead focused the camera on Yong Hao. At the same time, the waters near Wangguo, with the four emperors, the battle of emperors and lieutenants started one after another. Momoshage here received the message. What? Kaido and Big Mom are fighting. And Yong Hao also faced off against Katakuri. When Momoshage came back to his senses, he was pleasantly surprised. Although Kaido, a militant, is coming, war is very likely to break out in all countries. But there is a certain chance that he won't take action. And now, for them Marine, it is undoubtedly a big good news. Momoshage then even took the opportunity to ask the informant to send live video. After all, there is a fight now, so it should be very chaotic inside. Under such circumstances, it should not be difficult to transmit live images. Sure enough, within a moment, Momoshage saw the scene directly. After seeing the image, Momoshage couldn't help but be shocked. This Yong Hao actually suppressed Katakuri. Momoshage has always felt that Yong Hao is not simple, especially after she went to Punk Hassad. But now, she realized that she still underestimated Yong Hao. This guy's strength has actually reached the level of an emperor's deputy. In this case, does it mean that when she was in Punk Hassad before, luckily she didn't take action? Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to get anything done. Realizing this, Momoshage frowned, but no matter what, the current situation is a good thing for them, Marine. Momoshage cheered up and continued to pay attention. And the scene at this time, Doflamingo and others had different expressions. Monet silently approached Doflamingo and asked, "Young master, what should we do?" When Doflamingo heard this, his eyes flashed. She knew what Monet meant. The current situation of the Don Quixote family is not very good. No matter who wins or loses between Kaido and Big Mom, they will be in trouble later. If this is the case, should we show something now? In this case, perhaps not only will they not be blamed, but they will even be rewarded. But in this case, they will clearly stand in line. Otherwise, both Kaido and Big Mom will cause trouble for them. But Doflamingo thought about it and shook his head. Right now, whether it's helping Kaido take away Yong Hao or helping Ant keep Yong Hao, it's a thankless task. After all, no matter who you help, you will completely offend the other person. It's better not to help each other. In this case, the Ant will not cause trouble for them later. As for Kaido, if he really wants to find trouble, he can definitely ask his Ant for help. But if we take action now, there will be no room for relaxation. In view of this, Doflamingo chose to sit on the sidelines. Of course, in Brother Duoduo Langming's opinion, this battle will most likely be won by Big Mom in the end. It's not that Big Mom will defeat Kaido, but that she can successfully keep Yong Hao. After all, this is Auntie's territory. Let's not talk about whether Katakuri will be defeated by Yong Hao, but what if he loses? Don't forget, there are other generals. In addition, there are ministers and a large number of pirate group members. No matter how he thought, Kaido could not successfully take away Yong Hao. And just when Doflamingo was thinking this, as expected, Cracker and others had already surrounded him aggressively. But at this moment, Katakuri suddenly shouted, "Don't take action, I can do it alone." Cracker and others suddenly stopped. Katakuri looked at the ape in front of him with a stern face. As the royal deputy under Big Mom, Katakuri is certainly arrogant. If the other party is 4 emperors, that's it, but now he is just a pirate supernova. Although this pirate supernova is not simple, he still doesn't bother to besiege it together with Cracker and others. Hearing this, Yong Hao suddenly laughed. "Katakuri, don't be brave." In fact, many times during the simulation, Katakuri advocated a duel with him. Later, it was the Ant who discovered the clues and scolded Cracker and others for helping. But at this stage, Yong Hao is of course willing to challenge Katakuri in a duel. He also wanted to defeat this man openly, so that it would be logical to subdue him in the future. HMPH, you can't last long in this state. As long as I persist for a while, you will fall into weakness. Katakuri suddenly revealed Yong Hao's shortcomings in strengthening his heart. Besides, do you think my power is only to this extent? As soon as he finished speaking, a strange scene appeared. Chapter 166 Nuo Nuo awakens, the monster appears. At this time, a strange scene appeared. The ground under Yong Hao's feet suddenly shook. No, it's not shaking, the ground is moving. At first glance, the entire ground seems to be softening, twisting and surging. What's this? This strange scene was quickly discovered by the people around him. Doflamingo raised his eyebrows and his face was condensed. Awaken. That's right. It's just awakening. After Katakuri was suppressed, he suddenly used his awakening ability, the flowing glutinous mass, to assimilate the entire ground with his ability. Doflamingo is no stranger to this scene, because he also mastered the power of awakening. After the Paramecia fruit ability is awakened, it can assimilate the surrounding environment and abilities and control them. So at this moment, the ground under Yong Hao's feet had turned into a glutinous mass and was controlled by Katakuri. Caught off guard, Yong Hao's figure tilted, and his feet were bound by 2 glutinous balls, making it difficult to break free. At the same time, Kaido and Big Mom were naturally not surprised either. After seeing the surging ground, the two of them made a tacit agreement, switched the battlefield, and rushed to the sky. Kaido once again transformed into a 1,000-meter dragon and skyrocketed. Big Mom, on the other hand, stepped on homies and soared into the sky. Boom boom boom. The 4 emperors had a fierce confrontation. Katakuri was naturally not idle. After restraining Yong Hao, he suddenly shouted again. Quiyu glutinous rice. A large number of glutinous balls surged up from the ground, turned into thick rice cake sticks, and then launched a fierce rain-like blow at Yong Hao, who could not move. The attack power is almost as strong as 4 emperors. When Caesar Current and others saw this, they felt chilled in their hearts. Yong Hao was calm and calm. Life returned. His bound feet suddenly shrank and were pulled out of the glutinous mass. Then he turned upside down and started doing backflips. Boom boom boom. Those thick rice cake sticks hit the ground, and each hit was like the roar of a cannonball, shaking the earth and the earth. Yong Hao quickly avoided the bombardment of the rice cake bars, but under Katakuri's control, those rice cake bars continued to extend like tarsal maggots. At the same time, glutinous balls were surging on the ground, trying to restrain Yong Hao again. Realizing this, Yong Hao instantly used Moonwalk to soar into the sky during a backflip, and then, with the help of Wukong Jutsu, he rushed towards Katakuri like a rocket. The rice cake sticks followed closely, but could never catch up with him. Katakuri's face darkened when he saw this, and he simply ignored the rice cake sticks and made 2 donuts in front of him again. Unparalleled donuts and strange rice cakes. Facing Yong Hao's flying figure, Katakuri suddenly waved his right hand and made a false strike forward. At this time, an amazing scene appeared. The donut in front of Katakuri suddenly flew out with a huge black iron fist and hit Yong Hao fiercely. Well done, Ape God Spear. Yong Hao was not afraid, and his right hand contracted and expanded, turning into a huge iron fist and blasting out. Bang! Two huge iron fists collided together, and Yong Hao's figure paused slightly. Now Yong Hao, in the form of strengthened heart, is already very powerful, but he is still unable to gain the upper hand. This shows the power of Katakuri's attack. However, such fists will continue to increase in the future. 9 rice cakes. Along with Katakuri's low drink, 9 giant iron fists rushed out of the donut. Bang bang bang. Even though Yong Hao was powerful, he was knocked away by Katakuri's powerful fist. Whoosh. Yong Hao's figure just landed. The surrounding ground was like a prepared python, covering it. In the blink of an eye, Yong Hao's figure was submerged by the glutinous dough. It's over. Seeing this, Katakuri let out a sigh of relief. Doflamingo and others were immediately shocked. The awakening ability shown by Katakuri is very terrifying. Being able to fight and control, he reversed the situation in the blink of an eye and suppressed Yong Hao. So, did you lose, Yong Hao? When the giant dragon in midair saw this, he immediately uttered human words and became a little anxious. Don't look at Kaido's arrogant look just now. In fact, Kaido was not sure whether he could take Yong Hao away. After all, his strength is on par with Auntie's. After a thorough battle, the winner may be determined, but the difference will not be huge. In this way, the outcome of this battle depends on Yong Hao, Katakuri and others. It's monster strengthening. The exploded ground could not even be assimilated and recovered for a while, as if it was retreating 3 feet away from it. Terrifying, fierce, and unparalleled. Thinking like this, Kaido opened his bloody mouth and was about to erupt the dragon's breath flames, covering the surrounding battlefield in an attempt to create chaos. However, Big Mom didn't let Kaido succeed. She swung the Emperor's sword and suddenly split the dragon's breath. Monster strengthened. Katakuri, come again. Just now, he directly predicted the appearance of the giant ape and tried to stop it, but the opponent's strength was still beyond his expectation. He actually directly exploded the ground and broke through. But just as Kaido hesitated, the battle situation below suddenly took a turn for the better. Immediately afterwards, the golden ape's big eyes moved, and a ferocious gaze came towards him. They recognized this form. It was Yong Hao's monster enhancement. Yong Hao's voice suddenly came from the ground. Kaido and Big Mom were both stunned. If Yong Hao can take care of Katakuri and others, there will be no problem on his side. Only in this way can he have a chance to take Yong Hao away. Of course, Kaido didn't think that Yong Hao could really defeat Katakuri and others. But the next second, the accumulated glutinous rice balls suddenly swelled. The ant gave a low drink and sneered, but now it seems that it is still slightly inferior. But if Yong Hao can't figure it out, the result will be in doubt. If Yong Hao is captured by Katakuri and wants to be rescued, he can only go back and summon the entire beast pirates to fight. Kaido's dragon's mouth closed, and the dragon's face sank. Kaido, your opponent is my mother. Well. A huge golden ape monster, 15 meters high, suddenly appeared where Yong Hao had been submerged just now. Doflamingo and others' expressions changed. An invisible and strong oppression swept over like a tide. Looking at the huge golden ape monster, he frowned. Also recognized was Katakuri. But for the sake of Yong Hao, Kaido couldn't decide for a while whether it was worth it to spend so much effort. He might not have to go in, but it would definitely be difficult to take Yong Hao away. Suddenly, a huge mountain bag formed and then exploded. Katakuri's expression suddenly changed, and he quickly controlled the ground again, piling up more glutinous balls in the place where Yong Hao was submerged, increasing the pressure. A cold sweat could not help but appear on Katakuri's forehead. In fact, if you can beat Katakuri, everything will be fine. Chapter 167 No Flaws? Overwhelming the Emperor's deputy? The huge golden ape, 15 meters tall, stood on the spot. The fierce and unparalleled aura swept the entire place like a storm. At this moment, even Kaido and Big Mom in midair looked at him sideways. The ant's eyes quickly lit up. Could this giant-like size be the human body enlargement effect that Katakuri mentioned? Realizing this, Auntie became even more eager to keep Yong Hao. However, Kaido had the same idea. The reason why he wanted to take Yong Hao away was of course because of Lan Bochu. Otherwise, even if Yong Hao is also a user with animal fruit abilities, he won't be able to catch his eye. After all, Yong Hao's fruit ability is not as good as even the Ling Kong's 6 sons. But now, Yong Hao's performance has subverted his cognition. How is it possible to achieve such a huge volume? Isn't he an ordinary animal-type fruit ability user? Could it be an ancient species, or even a fantasy beast species? Kaido couldn't be sure either, but the only thing that is certain is that Yong Hao really has disaster-level strength. In this way, Kaido naturally wants to take him back even more. Looking at Yong Hao who turned into a giant ape, Morgan's eyes lit up again. Yong Hao has become the focus of attention, and his every move will add interest and attention to this big news. And now, its transformation into a giant ape is undoubtedly another good breaking point. Big news, it's gone. When Doflamingo and others saw this, their expressions were complicated. Yong Hao's power far exceeded their knowledge. Especially Violet, her beautiful eyes widened and she stared at the huge figure. She suddenly realized that she had underestimated Yong Hao. Perhaps, without using the blue ball, he can overthrow Don Quixote with his own strength alone. As for Cracker and others, they were naturally shocked. At this moment, everyone in the audience was shocked. Yong Hao lowered his head and glanced at his giant ape body, and a smile slowly appeared on his lips. Katakuri, come again. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly raised his leg and swept out towards Katakuri with an ordinary land kick. The green light flashed, and ordinary land's feet showed the power of Zhou Duan. The surging glutinous ground along the way was suddenly cut open, and a huge green light approached Katakuri with the force of creation. A whoosh! Katakuri's face was gloomy, as if he didn't react, and his body was split into two in an instant. But soon, he was like a Lobia user, reshaping his body without any damage. This was Katakuri's premonition of Yong Hao's offensive by seeing and hearing the haki, and thus easily dodged the attack. But even so, the cold sweat on Katakuri's forehead became even more intense. The terrifying attack power made him feel a chill in his heart. Immediately afterwards, endless blue light shone on the scene. Yong Hao failed to hit the target, and his figure was suspended in the air and kicked. Invincible Hot Wheels. The green Kazuki teeth all over the sky burst out crazily, covering the battlefield within 100 meters radius in an instant. Katakuri broke into a cold sweat. Such a large-scale attack cannot be avoided even if one can predict the future. This isn't the first time Katakuri has experienced this. He found that Yong Hao knew him very well, and when he launched an offensive, he was often unable to dodge the attack. It can only be connected hard, just like this moment. The blue light was so intense that Katakuri had no time to think about it and quickly activated his abilities to deal with it. Quiyu glutinous rice. Countless thick rice cake sticks rise up from the ground, wrapped in armed and domineering aura, heading towards the green light. At first glance, the battlefield is divided into green and black. Rumble. The sound like an explosion instantly shook the whole place. At first, the green light all over the sky was a shock, but soon, the green light overwhelmed the black and rolled in. Katakuri's expression changed, and he quickly controlled more glutinous balls to rise up from the ground. But this time, there was no attack, but a thick armed wall. Boom boom boom. The green light struck, and the armor-colored wall that looked like a later generation suddenly shook violently, and then fell apart in Katakuri's shocked eyes. The next moment, Katakuri's figure was submerged in the huge blue light. Brother Katakuri. Seeing this scene, Cracker and others were shocked. Even the ant's face changed. Kaido laughed loudly. Lin, don't be distracted. As soon as he finished speaking, the giant dragon struck out with a claw, knocking Auntie away. Several homids hurriedly responded. Kaido did not pursue him, but took a moment to look over there. I saw the giant ape's feet, suddenly stopped, and then disappeared in midair. And the other side. The green light subsided, and Katakuri's figure was revealed again. But at this time, he had several cuts all over his body, and even the scarf around his mouth had been cut open. A terrifying cracked mouth was revealed. Katakuri's brothers and sisters were all stunned. Bree looked at it worriedly. At this moment, the giant ape suddenly appeared in midair above Katakuri's head and struck him with a punch. Ape God Spear. Boom. The terrifying punch force instantly exploded the air. Katakuri below, along with the ground, were all blown apart. But at this moment, the blasted Katakuri did not turn into flesh and blood, but instead turned into a glutinous mass and split apart. Almost at the same time, Katakuri appeared behind Yong Hao and struck hard with a huge iron fist. Bang! Yong Hao suddenly turned around and crossed his arms, but even so, he was still hit and took several steps back. Of course, it's no big deal. Looking at Katakuri with a gloomy face, the giant ape smiled slightly and said in human words, "Not bad, you can keep calm this way." Yong Hao knew that Katakuri was not flawless. His haki, which can predict the future, will become ineffective as long as he cannot keep calm. Logically speaking, if his hidden mouth is exposed, he should be uneasy and unable to predict the future. But what he didn't expect was that he still dodged the blow just now and even fought back. He is worthy of being one of the best among the Imperial lieutenants. Yong Hao sighed, but did not stop. His figure started and pressed towards Katakuri. Ape God Spear. Weird Rice Cake. Another head-to-head confrontation, but this time, Yong Hao obviously had the upper hand. Not only did he explode the strange rice cake, he even hit Katakuri's body, causing him to fly backwards. Katakuri was about to fall to the ground on his back, but at this moment, a shocking scene appeared. The moment he fell to the ground, Katakuri suddenly threw his head back and hit the ground with a bang. With the help of the force of rebellion, he regained his balance. Yong Hao laughed dumbly. This guy is really stubborn. Of course, this is also Katakuri's belief. He once swore that he would never show any flaws and would become a perfect existence in the eyes of his brothers and sisters. However, at this time, judging from Katakuri's slightly trembling body, he was not as stubborn as he appeared. Yong Hao's attack just now obviously hurt Katakuri again. 9 rice cakes. Without saying a word, Katakuri launched another offensive. Naturally, Yong Hao didn't say anything, and fired a series of 8 guns, destroying the opponent's rice cake again. Katakuri's power may be really strong, but when Yong Hao entered the monster enhancement, he was already unable to resist. At this moment, Yong Hao definitely has the power to overpower the Emperor's deputy. Almost everyone saw this. But then, something unexpected happened. Chapter 168 Monster Chariot. Yong Hao's Conqueror's Roar. As the giant ape transformed by Yong Hao and Katakuri fought, everyone could see that Katakuri was completely at a disadvantage. When it comes to strength, Katakuri is no longer a match for Yong Hao. But then, the expected defeat of Katakuri did not happen. Instead, the two sides fell into a stalemate. Boom boom boom. Amidst the loud noise, Katakuri was suddenly knocked out again. But while he was in midair, he flipped to the ground, and then rushed towards the giant ape tenaciously. "You're really tenacious," Yong Hao sighed in his heart. He knew very well the reason for the stalemate with Katakuri at this time. Mainly because of Katakuri's domineering attitude. Being able to predict what the future will bring is really difficult. Unless Yong Hao can master the red-haired wisdom killer or make Katakuri lose his cool, it will still be difficult to deal with Katakuri. Even when unleashing that kind of large-scale attack, Katakuri was able to use his knowledge to find the weakest point of the attack and resist it. In this way, although he will still be hurt, he can barely bear it. Relying on his ability to predict the future and Nuoduan's defensive ability, Katakuri still kept the battle in a stalemate even though his strength was obviously inferior to him. This situation reminded Yong Hao of the battle between Katakuri and Luffy in the original work. Luffy's strength was obviously not as good as Katakuri's, but he opened the bloodlock and remained in a stalemate, gritting his teeth and looking for a chance to win. At this time, Katakuri was also in a stalemate with Yong Hao without giving up. In fact, Katakuri also has a chance of winning. As long as he persists until Yong Hao cancels the monster enhancement and enters a weak state, that's when he will turn defeat into victory. However, he probably won't have this chance. The monster's enhanced form can be maintained for much longer than he imagined. Of course, the most important thing is that Yong Hao still has a way to quickly defeat Katakuri. This method is actually very simple, that is, directly use turtle-style Qigong. This is also a large-scale attack, and it is a large-scale attack with no difference in power. As long as Katakuri is hit, he will definitely be severely injured and fall to the ground. But this time, Yong Hao did not intend to use turtle-style Qigong. In the monster's enhanced form, the power of turtle-style Qigong is much stronger than in its normal state. But on the contrary, the consumption will be very large. With the previous heart strengthening, the current monster strengthening, and the turtle school Qigong, Yong Hao will certainly be able to defeat Katakuri by then, but he will inevitably fall into weakness for a longer period of time. This is very detrimental to his current situation. Therefore, Yong Hao simulated a more labor-saving method. At this time, Katakuri's expression suddenly changed as if he had predicted something. "How dare you!" Almost at the moment he finished speaking, Yong Hao swooped down with a moonwalk and killed Cracker and the others. "Indestructible, monster tank!" Yong Hao shouted low and suddenly activated the strongest indestructible defense. Then his huge body rolled and turned into an indestructible hill, crushing towards Cracker and the others. What? Cracker and others' expressions suddenly changed. In fact, when they saw Katakuri being suppressed, they were already planning to take action. Although Katakuri said he wanted to fight in a one-on-one fight, they couldn't just watch him being defeated by Yong Hao. But what I never expected was that Yong Hao would take action against them first. Seeing Yong Hao crushing them, these generals and ministers were all frightened. However, they were not slow to respond and launched attacks one after another to block. Smoothie slashed angrily, and a slash flew out. Cracker clapped his hands quickly, and the Biscuit Army launched a suicidal charge. The rest of the ministers also showed their talents. However, at this time, Yong Hao truly showed his ability to defeat all kinds of magic. The giant iron ball had transformed into shattered all attacks and rushed straight into the crowd. "Ah! Don't come over!" Cracker and others instantly fell on their backs. At this moment, Katakuri rushed over quickly, his figure hanging in the air and suddenly falling. Cut! Cut! Rice cake! Katakuri's right hand turned directly into a huge mace and struck hard towards the huge iron ball. Bang! The huge iron ball that was running rampant was finally stopped. But the next second, the giant ape opened its arms ferociously and grabbed Katakuri's feet. Katakuri was startled, and then his whole body started to spin. But after the giant ape grabbed Katakuri's feet, he grabbed his body and violently swung him horizontally. Even those with a bounty of more than 100 million were shocked. A huge dark whirlwind suddenly formed. Wherever the whirlwind passed, Cracker and the others were all violently knocked away. This is not over yet. The terrifying momentum is indescribable even if it is earth-shattering. At this moment, all the ministers and ministers, who had a bounty of less than 100 million, were stunned. As long as your own roar reaches the level of sonic attack, you can release it simultaneously with Conqueror's Haki. Doflamingo and others looked at the scene in stunned silence. Originally, they were able to withstand Yong Hao's whirlwind attack, but they were suddenly defeated again. It is Conqueror's domineering style without a doubt. Boom. The battlefield instantly felt as if a level 18 typhoon was blowing. Conqueror's Haki. This is the standard configuration of 4 emperors, but it is not that easy to learn. That Yong Hao actually has Conqueror's domineering spirit. Even the tough biscuit soldiers are vulnerable, of course, this trick is not difficult. Everyone falls to me. At this moment, even Kaido and Big Mom subconsciously stopped their movements and looked here with shock. At the same time, Yong Hao's bloody mouth suddenly opened and let out a terrifying roar. Rumble. I saw a 15-meter tall golden ape standing on the same spot. And Cracker, Smoothie and other generals were inevitably shaken. Conqueror's domineering power originally caused little harm to Cracker and others, but when coupled with the sound waves formed by the roar, it was different. In an instant, the entire Charlotte family, as well as the members of the Big Mom Pirates, were almost wiped out. One after another red thunder burst out at the same time. But combined with his own sonic ability, he directly understood the Conqueror's roar of one of the 5 elders, legal martial god, Topman Vasili Saint. Conqueror's roar. It is worth mentioning that after Yong Hao mastered Conqueror's Haki, he did not master Batang. Of course, the most shocking thing was the messy scene that was revealed as the typhoon subsided. Katakuri subconsciously activated his armed Haki, but strengthened the giant ape's offensive. Beside him, Cracker, Smoothie and other generals and ministers, one by one, all collapsed to the ground. In an instant, the space vibrated and invisible sound waves swept across. Even Katakuri, the strongest general, landed on his back with a large font, Chapter 169 Super Big News, Shocking New World for a Year. All of a sudden, the entire scene fell silent. After more than 10 seconds, the quiet scene was broken by a series of clicking sounds. It's Morgans. The News King looked at the giant ape with a face full of enthusiasm and started taking photos crazily. Originally, he thought this was just big news, but now it seems that this is super big news. As a pirate supernova, vicious ape, Yong Hao actually defeated everyone in the Charlotte family except Anti. Several great generals were defeated by him. This news is enough to shock New World for a year. Morgans roared in his heart. At the same time, the medium-sized warships in Wanwai's waters also fell into a frenzy of shock. Momosagi and others were watching the live video. At this moment, one by one, they were all stunned. They were shocked when Yong Hao and Katakuri fought fiercely just now, and now they're even more shocked. Katakuri, Cracker, Smoothie, all powerful generals, including ministers, were all defeated by Yong Hao single-handedly. What kind of power is this? Even Marine General is nothing more than this, right? After coming back to his senses, Momosagi had a rare look of fear on his face. Yong Hao is so powerful. What would have happened if she had not been called away by a phone call from the Warring States period when she was on Punk Hassad Island and insisted on teaching Yong Hao a lesson? Her end shouldn't be any better than Katakuri's, right? What makes Momosagi confused is that with such powerful power, why did Yong Hao escape when he was being chased by him? With his strength, he can completely handle it, and there is no need to join Don Quixote and seek asylum. Or maybe he only became so powerful after joining Don Quixote. But the question is this too fast? Such a speed of becoming stronger, even if it is a rapid advance, the rapid progress is indescribable. Realizing this, Momosagi frowned. The situation in Wangguo is becoming more and more alarming, and it is no longer something she can handle. Good thing. At this moment, a golden light flashed in the distant horizon. Momosagi sensed it, looked at it subconsciously, and was suddenly pleasantly surprised. The silent tea party scene finally started to move because of the sound of Morgans taking pictures. First there were gasps, and then there was an uproar. Oh my god! Is there any mistake? Katakuri has been defeated, and there are also generals like Cracker. This vicious ape Yong Hao, Doflamingo and others all had expressions of disbelief on their faces. Especially Cesar Current, Monet, Violet and others. Even Monet was shocked. She had long seen that Yong Hao was not simple, but the strength he showed now was far beyond her expectations. Katakuri, this is a big shot that even Doflamingo wants to avoid. But now, it fell into Yong Hao's hands. There were also other generals and ministers, and their entire army was wiped out. Does this mean that Yong Hao also has the power to suppress Doflamingo? Monet was horrified to think about it. The leader, Doflamingo, had an extremely gloomy expression. At this time, he finally reacted. Maybe Yong Hao has been using himself. With such power, he doesn't need to rely on Don Quixote at all. Of course, it is also possible that he became so strong after going to Punk Hassad Island, but no matter what, this situation is too amazing. Doflamingo finally understood that Yong Hao was no longer someone he could control. There is also an ant who feels the same way. If Soraya doesn't attack, she is still very rational. Although she was furious when she saw Katakuri and others defeated, she also understood the situation. Kaido wants to take Yong Hao away, but she can no longer stop him. Otherwise, if the trouble continues, even if she can really keep Yong Hao, the gain will outweigh the loss. Ha ha ha, Lin Lin, it seems we don't need to fight anymore. As long as we are old friends, there is no need to make the relationship so tense. I will take Yong Hao back first, and then I will ask him to apologize to you. Saying this, Kaido suddenly laughed again when he saw his aunt's face frozen in midair with an ugly expression. Yong Hao, let's go. Hearing Kaido's words, the giant ape transformed by Yong Hao immediately jumped into the air again, and flew to the giant dragon in the blink of an eye. Looking at the ant not far away who was not doing anything, a smile appeared on Yong Hao's ferocious face. Such a scene also happened in the simulation. This also means that the overall situation has been decided. Although the ant was very angry, she would not take action against him again. In the original book, although she looked like she was chasing Luffy to the ends of the earth for offending him. But now, it is naturally impossible to apply it to Yong Hao. After all, Luffy in the original book has nothing to do with Kaido. But now, Yong Hao has caught up with Kaido, who is also a member of the Four Emperors. If she really wanted to completely fall out, she would have to think carefully. Certainly, the ant just now did have a falling out with Kaido. But it's different now. Katakuri and others have been defeated by Yong Hao. If she continues to fall out, she will most likely be attacked by Yong Hao. By that time, it will be troublesome. You know, her power and Kaido's are only about the same. After 3 days and 3 nights of fighting, I'm afraid there will be no winner. But if there is the help of Yong Hao's combat power, then the chance of Ant's defeat is very high. Generally speaking, the same sentence is said. Now Yong Hao can stay if she wants to. If she stays forcibly, it will only cause greater losses. Thinking of this, the ant took a deep breath and calmed down completely. Then, she gave the order, and Zeus took her down. Kaido, on the other hand, carried Yong Hao and soared into the sky. After the overall situation was decided, Yong Hao naturally relaxed and began to return to his human form. After he returned to his human form, his face was pale and obviously a little weak, but he had not completely lost his fighting power. This is the reason why Yong Hao did not use turtle-style Qigong. Otherwise, he would probably collapse to the ground after changing back to human form. The strong wind blew, and in Yong Hao's sight, the ant and others below began to become smaller. The corner of Yong Hao's mouth curled up, and he suddenly opened his hands and closed his eyes, as if he was embracing the whole world. He knew that he was one step closer to the peak. No, it should be said that we are only one step away from the peak. This time he joins the Beast Pirates. With Teacher Kai's guidance, he will definitely be able to gain 4 Emperor's level combat power. Soon. The dragon transformed by Kaido stayed away from Cake Island and even flew away from all countries. But Yong Hao, who was originally smiling, looked in a certain direction with a condensed expression. At the same time, Kaido also felt something and looked in that direction. What caught the eye was a medium-sized warship parked steadily on the sponge. On the warship, 2 powerful auras of life are particularly conspicuous. A slightly inferior dish is Momoshagi. The other one was a wretched man wearing a yellow-striped suit and also wearing a cloak of justice. It's none other than Kizaru, one of the 3 marine generals. Paluzolino, Chapter 170. If the wages are in place, the 4 emperors will be wasted? A messy tea party scene. A team of doctors has arrived quickly to treat Katakuri and others. Morgans, the king of loan sharks, and others were naturally embarrassed to stay any longer, and they all said goodbye to Auntie. Especially Morgans, he can't wait to go back and spread the news content this time to the whole world. Morgans and others were seen leaving the field one after another. Caesar Current couldn't sit still and quickly asked Doflamingo, Joker, what should we do? Let's go too. Doflamingo heard this, pondered for a few seconds, and said directly, let's go. As soon as he finished speaking, he took Caesar Current and others away. I didn't even say hello to my aunt. It's not that Doflamingo doesn't understand etiquette, it's just that his current situation is a bit embarrassing. Now that the aunt is still angry, it would be funny if he gets close to her again and gets beaten by her. It's better to go back directly and see the situation then. By that time, even if Auntie really wants to deal with them, she can defend and resist them on her own territory instead of being blamed by others here. But on the way back, Doflamingo suddenly picked up a phone and made a call. Hey, warring states. Other side, the peripheral waters of Wanguo. Momoshagi and others feel at ease. All because at this moment, a 3-meter tall middle-aged man wearing yellow-striped clothes, a cloak of justice, and brown sunglasses stood in front of them. It's none other than Kizaru, Perusalino, one of the 3 marine generals. General Perusalino, Momoshagi and others hurriedly greeted each other, feeling reassured in their anxious hearts. With General Marine present, they were naturally much calmer. But soon, after Kizaru learned about the situation at the scene, a sigh appeared on his wretched face. It's so scary, is the current pirate supernova that strong? Even Kizaru couldn't help but be shocked when he learned about Yong Hao's achievements. This is not a joke, but an exclamation from the heart. Momosagi's pretty face condensed. In fact, even now, she is a little unbelievable. Yong Hao's ability to defeat Katakuri and others proves that even she is most likely no longer a match for Yong Hao. Realizing this, Momosagi's psychological pressure can be imagined. This is simply like the waves behind the Yangtze River pushing the waves ahead, and the waves in front die on the beach. It's incredible. However, what happened next, when Yong Hao and Kaido walked away, completely proved that this was an indisputable fact. Yong Hao really defeated Katakuri and others, and even shocked the ant, so that she had no choice but to let them go. Otherwise, with Auntie's character, how could she give up so easily? Of course, we don't rule out what actions Auntie will take in the future. But now, it was indeed Yong Hao who forced the ant to give in. Such a pirate supernova is simply heaven-defying. General Perusalino, what should we do next? Thinking about this, Momoshiki asked in confusion. Now it seems that they are not here to monitor the Tea Party, but more like they are here to witness the rise of Yong Hao. Kizaru shook his head. Let's call Warring States Fleet Admiral first. Without his instructions, we can't attack the 4 emperors at will. Hearing this, Momoshiki's heart sank again. In fact, she knew that even taking action now would be of no use. Kaido was not harmed. Even if they take action, I'm afraid they won't get anything good. So now, all they can do is actually watch Kaido and Yong Hao leave, then sort out the information here and bring it back to Marine headquarters. Of course, as a rule, they still have to contact Warring States and make a simple report first. But what surprised Momoshiki was that before she could call Sengoku called him first. Sengoku Fleet Admiral. When the call was connected, Momoshiki suddenly exclaimed in surprise. I was about to call you. The situation here. Momoshiki was about to report, but Sengoku interrupted her. Gion, Perusalino should be next to you. Put the phone, leave it to him. Oh. Hearing this, Momoshiki quickly handed the phone to Kizaru next to him. Sengoku Fleet Admiral, the situation is a bit tricky. Kizaru sighed, but at this moment, Sengoku said something that made Momoshiki's face change drastically. Perusalino, I will apply to double your bonus this month. Take action now. We cannot let Kaido take Yong Hao back. Before that, kill Yong Hao. Momoshiki's pupils suddenly shrank, full of shock. They haven't reported yet, but Warring States seemed to know the situation at the scene and gave them the next step of instructions. Actually killed Yong Hao. Kizaru seemed surprised for a moment, but he reacted and responded directly. Learn. When he mentioned doubling the bonus, his perfunctory temperament seemed to dissipate. Momoshiki was stunned. At this time, Marine headquarters. Warring States, on the other hand, held the phone with a solemn expression and murmured. Blue wave ball. High in the sky not far from Wanguo. Yong Hao was sitting on Kaido's dragon's head, talking to him. The 1,000-meter giant dragon was directly swallowed and drowned by the sea. He was defeated many times, but he didn't kill him with a last-ditch kill. He just took a fancy to the opponent and planned to conquer him slowly. After all, Kaido values the truly strong. Yong Hao suddenly turned his figure to one side to avoid the golden light. Of course, I will definitely make you one of the big posters and give you 1 billion Baileys. This can be seen from his attitude towards Luffy and Kid in later generations. As a result, the golden light fell on Kaido's dragon head and exploded. Exactly, Kizaru. The terrifying power directly made Kaido's dragon eyes dazzle, and then the huge figure, like a huge meteor, suddenly fell on the sea below. And Yong Hao, as a pirate supernova, defeated Katakuri and others, and naturally fell into Kaido's eyes. Golden light bursts down. Amidst the shocking noise, the waves splashed into the sky. Not to mention it's about blue wave. Boom, it's so scary. At this point, Kaido's expression changed drastically and he finally came to his senses, but it was already too late. After hearing this, Yong Hao finally smiled and put away the video on his hand. But the next second, the golden light hovered behind Yong Hao, rising and condensing, turning into a wretched middle-aged man wearing sunglasses. Kaido laughed dumbly. He didn't understand why Yong Hao kept emphasizing this matter to him after leaving Wanguo. Speed is power. Have you ever been kicked at the speed of light? In just an instant, the golden light approached and hit Yong Hao directly. Are you still afraid that you will regret it? As for why he did this, it was naturally because of what happened next. Boss Kaido, please repeat me. If I join the Beast Pirates, will it make me a disaster and give me 1 billion Baileys? Yong Hao, who was hiding next to him, was speechless for a while. Not long after Yong Hao put away the image, a golden light flashed from the horizon. Kaido's promise to him was clearly recorded by him. But after seeing Yong Hao's powerful strength, he would never regret it. Before he could even finish his words, a golden light that was so fast that it was indescribable was packed with shocking power and kicked towards Yong Hao from top to bottom. However, Yong Hao seemed to be well prepared and managed to dodge away. It is precisely because of this that Kaido is very cooperative with Yong Hao's strange behavior. If anything, before that, he might regret it. After hearing this, Kaido's dragon face looked a little strange. Of course Kaido wants to conquer such strength.